Good evening and welcome along to Gladiators TV. I'm Joe Bell, your host and commentator for this evening's Cab Direct Championship fixture between the Pro Park Plymouth Gladiators and the Redcar Bears. Well, those of you who joined us on Saturday night stream in the BSN series against Poole will know that we were blessed with some beautiful weather. Unfortunately, we have not struck gold this evening. It is a damp, it is a breezy, and it is a fresh June evening here at the Plymouth Coliseum. So bear with us across the course of the night. There may be one or two little technical gremlins in the stream, but we will do our best to bring the best possible product to you for what is proving to be a really interesting matchup here in Devon this evening between the Gladiators and the Bears. Of course, the Gladiators, this would be just their fourth Cab Direct Championship fixture of the season, and with one win already on the road, they will be fancying themselves to get off the mark at home with just the one defeat to their name at home so far against Workington in the Championship. For Redcar, well, it's been a tale of a slow start for the Bears. A win last time out at home against Glasgow on Saturday will give the Bears a much needed confidence boost as they head south to Devon. Let's take a look at the lineups for this evening's clash then, and we'll start with the Pro Park Plymouth Gladiators. Let's take a look, and Nico Cavati is missing this evening, so we've enlisted the help of Troy Batchelor from the Workington Comets, who will guest at number 1. Alfie BOWTELL is at 2. Unfortunately, Dan Thompson had to withdraw from the British Under-21s final on Sunday. He's out with COVID, so we're operating rider replacement at 3. Kyle Newman comes back into the team at 4, and Captain Ben Barker riding at 5. Joe Thompson leads the reserves at 6, and Jacob Hook, the young Australian, is at 7, and Garry May is the Plymouth team manager. Over to the visitors, the Redcar Bears then. Captain Charles Wright leads the team at number 1. Connor Bailey riding at number 2. Then we come to the first of 3 ex-Gladiators, with Dan Gilkes recently replacing Jonas Knudsen riding at number 3. Jason Edwards is the second of the ex-Gladiators. He is the second man in the engine room for the Bears at 4. Unfortunately, Danny King hasn't made it again this evening, so it's rider replacement for the Bears at 5. And the trio of ex-Gladiators is Ben Trigger leading the reserves for the Bears at number 6. And young Brit Jake Mulford will be riding at 7. Their team manager this evening is Gavin PARR. Well, without further ado, let's head down to the pit lane and let's see who Mattie's caught up with pre-meeting.
We are back at the Plymouth Coliseum for tonight's championship clash against the Plymouth Gladiators and the Redcar Bears. Second time now in a matter of days, actually, since we've been here. So a bit more of a full lineup tonight. No Dan Thompson tonight, unfortunately, with suffering from COVID. But Carl Newman's back in the team, and no Nico Cavati, but we do have a very good guest and former GP star Troy Batchelor from the Workington Comets. So as we look down the pit lane, we can see Jacob Hook there at the very end, just getting in the zone, chatting to his mechanic, getting ready for the night ahead. You can see Dan's twin brother Joe there. Fortunately doesn't have COVID tonight. He'll be looking to have another good meeting like he did on Saturday night. See there's Troy Batchelor. Looks quite good in Gladiators colours. Maybe that's a thing of signs to come in the future. You see there Carl Newman, very popular around here. It's Carl, obviously a former Plymouth Devil as well as a Gladiator. It'd be good to see him back on the track tonight. He was definitely missed on Saturday night. You see there Alfie BOWTELL, and again another fan favourite, firmly embedded in the foundations of the Gladiators now with his third spell here. Captain Ben Barker there, cheerful as ever, bubbly as ever. He'll be looking for another good night. As we move over into the Redcar pits, you can see there young Jake Mulford. Having a good season is Jake. He's obviously still making that transition from the grass track to Speedway, but bedding in nicely. It's starting to look a lot more like a Speedway rider now. Very nice style. See next to him we have Charles Wright, former British champion. He obviously suffered pretty serious injuries last year in Poland, but he's started this season not just with Redcar but also with the Oxford Spires in the Premiership very, very well. He'll be one to look out for tonight for sure. Former Gladiator there, Jason Edwards, with another former rider, Josh Bailey, on the spanners for him tonight. Smiling as ever, there he is. You see there Kai Ward's bike, who's number 8 tonight. This will be the one many people will be having an eye on tonight, will be Ben Trigger, obviously former Plymouth Gladiator, Plymouth lad. I'm sure he's enjoyed the journey down here much more than he has going up to the Redcar. Got the approval there from Dad Lee. So no doubt all eyes will be on Ben again tonight. See there's Kai Ward there, the number 8. Connor Bailey, former under-21 British champion. He's having a very good season so far, also for Bellevue Aces in the Premiership. I believe he's still the current track record holder actually at Redcar, which is quite an impressive feat considering the amount of talent they've had up there in recent years and talent they attract from all around the world, including Freddie Lindgren this season. See there's Tyler Govey, a retired rider, on the spanners tonight for Dan Gilkes. So yeah, it's all lining up down here. We're getting ready for parade. Everyone seems to be pretty chilled out, pretty ready for the night ahead of racing, so I will pass you back up to Joe in comms.
Cheers, Mattie. Yes, welcome to a thankfully dry commentary podium for this evening's Cab Direct fixture against the Redcar Bears. Good to see a good number of people here in the crowd this evening. There was obviously a question mark with the late change to the weather forecast. It's been really dry in Plymouth all day. Not particularly warm, but it has been dry. And then at about 5 o'clock this evening, the Met Office did throw a spanner in the works and decided they would forecast us a bit of rain. We have had a few showers here at the track, nothing too serious. Track's looking in perfectly good condition as we prepare for the riders to come out on the track parade for this evening. And as mentioned in the intro, just Plymouth's 4th championship fixture of the season. There's been plenty of BSN series action. Of course, that's who we were against on Saturday, the Poole Pirates, in the final BSN series fixture when, as mentioned, it was chalk and cheese, the weather conditions that we had that night to tonight. We obviously won't have as much dust as we had here on Saturday evening. A cool looking Troy Batchelor, who had a really good night for the Workington Comets here just a couple of weeks ago with 3 wins from his 4 rides. Hopefully similar effort and results from Troy this evening will go a long way to putting the Gladiators on top in tonight's fixture. Of course, aggregate bonus points are crucial in the championship this season, so a big win will be required for the Gladiators here tonight to take up to Redcar. I believe they don't go to Redcar until much later in the season, so obviously a big win tonight will set them up in good stead. Already got that win away at Armadale against Edinburgh, which will set them up for a visit here next month as Maximus heads out on his push bike to take in the to try and warm the crowd up, I think is more appropriate as he heads off into bend 1 and 2. Redcar team manager Gavin PARR just having one last bit of sustenance before the evening, trying to rev up his riders. Big night for Redcar, obviously a series of defeats before that nice win on Saturday at home to Glasgow as Maximus makes his way down the back straight. Mattie Bates has joined me in the dry podium. Mattie, this is much more like it dryness-wise than what we've had so far this evening.
Yeah, it's not been the most pleasant of day down in the Ocean City, has it? But I've got to say, I think the shower we had previously has done wonders to the track because it looks like there's a nice amount of dirt on it tonight. Not too much where it's going to be too much, but enough there to definitely generate something. And I think there'll be a few more lines to choose from tonight as opposed to Saturday, because it was obviously quite a hot day. But no, looking ahead, it looks to be fantastic. I think it's going to be a close one.
It certainly should set up to be a close one. And one thing that struck me from your wander around the pits, and we're seeing it a little bit on camera now, just how relaxed this Gladiator side seemed to be tonight. There's a real, we talked about it a lot on Saturday, and I think it's been mentioned quite a few times on the stream so far this season. There's a real good morale in the Gladiators pits, and I don't think I've ever seen as chilled a Plymouth team before a championship fixture as what I'm seeing this group here tonight.
No, it's fantastic to see as well. I mean, I've been coming here since the track reopened in 2006, and sort of been through all the promotions, but as you say, this has got to be one of, if not the most chilled group of lads we've had, and they just all seem to sort of have a nice vibe together. They're all sort of there, bigging each other up. No, it's great. It really does play a massive part in the performance on track.
It certainly is, as the Redcar Bears are the first set of riders to make it out onto the surface this evening, and they will make their way round to the start line for the track parade. Charles Wright leading the way. Charles, of course, former British champion, as Mattie mentioned, in the pits. He's going to be a real key character for the Bears tonight if they are to take away an aggregate victory back up to the Echo Arena later in the season. Mattie, let's get your riders to watch then. Let's start with the Redcar Bears before we meet them formally on the track parade. Who is the one to watch this evening?
I'm going to go for Dan Gilkes. Just, obviously it's his, I believe, his second or third meeting for Redcar since joining them last week. Obviously former Plymouth rider. He'll want to definitely want to establish himself back in this league and want to make a fair statement here tonight, I'm sure.
Yeah, Dan, of course, who 2 seasons back had a really, really positive start for the Gladiators before suffering a really horrendous crash at Scunthorpe. Joined the team last year, had a solid season last year without really setting the world alight as he did the season before, but it is great to see Dan back in the championship. Quickly, as the Gladiators make their way around before we get to the track parade, who is the one to watch for the home side?
I'm going for a double. I'm going for Carl Newman and Joe Thompson tonight.
Oh, am I allowing you a double? I want you to pick one.
One? I'm going to go for Joe Thompson.
Joe Thompson. Yeah, hopefully we should start, before we get on to the track parade, send our best wishes to Dan, who was having a really strong start to the Under-21s final on Sunday, but unfortunately did have to withdraw through illness as we prepare for the coin toss on the track. Ben and Charles will shake hands in front of the cameras with any luck. There it is. Just on cue. Coins in the air. We'll find out very soon. It looks like Plymouth have won the toss. And Ben Barker has chosen gates 1 and 3 from heat number 1. So we had a good night the other night from gate number 2, but the Gladiators deciding they'll have that much later on in the evening. As Charles Wright then is going to be the first one introduced, the Redcar Bears captain, and Kai Ward. Devon-based Kai Ward riding at number 8 this evening. There's Jake Mulford, one of 2 good reserves. Here's Ben Trigger. Let's see what reception he gets from the Gladiators faithful. It's a pleasant return for Ben, I think. Of course, Danny King is out, so rider replacement at 5. There's Jason Edwards, Dan Gilkes. A hat-trick of ex-Gladiators for the Bears. Is that going to be an advantage to them? Obviously, we've had the track alterations, but it must help.
For sure, the shell and dirt is still the same. Majority of the track is still the same. It's just, that, as you mentioned, that top corner could catch them out early on, but I think once they've sort of figured that out, it will hopefully not turn into too much of a stomping ground for them.
Be interesting to try and find out if I can catch Lee Trigger at some point this evening. Just how many laps he reckons Ben has done of the Coliseum in his time. A fair few.
I'd imagine it's more than every rider tonight. Even probably more than Ben Barker.
Well, potentially. Of course, Ben will be chasing his track record that he lost on Saturday night as well. There's Alfie. Always gives 100%, fan favourite down here in Devon. And there's Troy Batchelor, who's going to lead the way for the Gladiators at 1 this evening in the absence of Nico Cavati.
I didn't actually see in the pits when I was walking who Alfie's got on the spanners for him tonight, so I might have to change my one to watch because he's got Andrew Silver by the looks of it.
Oh, right, okay. Well, it's already locked in, I'm afraid.
Oh,
it's already
maybe next time.
It's already locked in as the riders make their way out down the back straight to take in the practice starts. Nice to see some... one thing that struck me, Mattie, when I was going through the teams earlier on today was just how young this Redcar Bears team are.
I know.
Charles Wright must feel like the grandfather of the team.
Oh, God, yeah. Great-grandfather, even. I mean, Charles has been around... I mean, Charles is still a relatively young guy himself, but he's been around a long time since the old Conference League days of Buxton, and obviously then moved up to Workington and stuff at the old track. But, no, I mean, it just shows. I mean, majority of the Redcar team are, apart from Connor, they're all British lads. So that bodes very well for the sport. Very young team, very ambitious team. Obviously, Gavin's quite ambitious and looking at probably not just this season, but looking to the future as well. So, it'd be very interesting tonight, I think.
It certainly will. There's Jason Edwards just having one last practice start. He'll make his way around. The red flags are out as the mist rolls in. We have a bit of that horrible fine drizzle that gets you absolutely drenched. I think we'd all much prefer a heavy downpour. You probably don't get as wet as what you do when this stuff falls, but a few umbrellas popping up around the Coliseum as the Gladiators faithful brave the conditions for this evening's Cab Direct contest, as Cab Direct Championship contest even. As we mentioned, it was a really positive night in defeat. Mattie, you and I were together on Saturday night against the Pirates. It was a really positive night in defeat for them, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think obviously, it's never nice to lose, especially at home. But given the circumstances, I think you can only take the positives from that. Again, Paul Pirates are currently sitting second in the championship. Through to the next part of the BSN series. And they are probably still to this day the most famous team in British Speedway. And they've always got a strong team. So to go against a full-strength Paul Pirates who have a very, very good track record around the Coliseum, I think the guys all done themselves proud. Even, again, as we spoke about Jason Garrett, I mean, he didn't score, but, he got in the way a couple of times. He was on the pace, and I think that helped the Gladiators.
Certainly got in the way of Tobias Thompson in Heat 14, didn't he, on Saturday night? That was an unbelievable start to the to Heat 14 there on Saturday. If you have missed it, do catch it on Plymouth Gladiators Facebook. It really is a heck of a start from Jason Garrett, and his performances really did deserve a lot better than we got. But we do have the 2 minutes on for heat number 1. Let's hope we don't have any 2-minute exclusions. We had a brace of them on Saturday night, but the first rider is Charles Wright onto the track. He will make his way round to the start positions, and we're coming out of gate number 4 here in heat number 1. But great to see a few Redcar Bears fans have made the long journey down to Devon as well this evening. If you are joining us from Redcar, or anywhere in fact, all over the country or the world, you're very welcome here on Gladiators TV this evening. You're probably a lot warmer than both me and Mattie will be.
It was not a good choice to wear denim tonight.
No.
Not a good choice.
I've stupidly gone with a one jumper policy, but here's the lineup then for heat number 1. Off the inside in blue is Alfie BOWTELL. Gate number 2 in yellow will be Connor Bailey. Gate number 3 in red is the guest Troy Batchelor. And off the outside in gate number 4 in white will be Charles Wright. Ben Barker just issuing one last rally cry to Alfie BOWTELL as he makes his way round to the start. Rain just continues to fall here at the Coliseum, but I think we're pretty confident that we will be able to get through the meeting tonight. It's been a pretty dry week, thankfully, here in Devon. Hopefully the rain does manage to stay away so we can get a full match in. Ben just poking his head into the studio just to make sure that we have pictures. You just concentrate on your riding, Ben. Here we go then. Cab Direct Championship action between the Plymouth Gladiators and the Redcar Bears. Green light is on for heat number 1, and away they go. It's a fairly level break, but Charles Wright comes across from gate 4, and Charles Wright takes the lead. Troy Batchelor slots into second place, Alfie BOWTELL in third, Connor Bailey at the back. It's Charles Wright who shows the way here in heat number 1, and this is a gorgeous start for the Redcar Bears skipper.
You can see there's a hell of a lot more dirt tonight. Obviously that last bit of rainfall we had to really sort of soak that up and brought that out, but that's going to produce some great racing later on. You can see riders finding it a little bit patchy in places, but no, so far so good. Good ride by Charles.
It certainly is, and Charles Wright is showing them a clean pair of heels out in front here as Troy Batchelor is just trying to build up some momentum, maybe to have one crack at Charles here on heat number 4. Just a little bit tentative going into bends 1 and 2, but Charles Wright is away and gone here. He's checked out, and it looks like the Bears skipper will start off with a heat win in race number 1, and Charles Wright flies home to take the win in heat number 1. Troy Batchelor in second, Alfie BOWTELL in third. It is not easy out here this evening, that is for sure, as the rain continues to fall, but Charles Wright does take the win in white off the outside gate off gate number 4. 53.25, that's an impressive time given the conditions. We were in the low 53s on Saturday night, weren't we? A couple of 54s towards the end of the night, but as the rain continues to fall, an impressive time as we take the heat result for heat number 1, and a win in white for Charles Wright. Second in red was Alfie BOWTELL in... it's Troy Batchelor in red even. Alfie BOWTELL was third in blue, and Connor Bailey was 4th in yellow. And the 2 minutes are straight on for heat number 2. As I said, I think we're gonna have a bit of speedway this evening.
Yes, nearly as good as Garry May Interview, that one. But no, I think obviously, oh, just going to see a replay in a minute.
We're not going to see a replay. That's been aborted. Let's hope the 2 minutes isn't, because the rain continues to fall. You
can see there when they're just panning onto the start gate, it's a lot more even tonight than it was on Saturday. Obviously, yeah. we know that middle part of the straight was very, very good, especially for Ben Cook. He got a bit of extra drive that he didn't want. But no, it's going to be... these early heats are all going to be about wanting to attack the track as hard as you can. Like, I think that's where Connor Bailey struggled in that last one. He was maybe not a bit put off. He's a very experienced guy, but Obviously, it's not a track he's too familiar with. It's probably a lot different from last time. But no, I think hopefully this rain goes away. It's reminding me a little bit of a Voyance GP at the moment. But no, the track should come very good in the next coming heats.
Let's take the lineup then for heat number 2. And off the inside in white, local boy Ben Trigger. Gate number 2 in red is Joe Thompson. Gate number 3 in yellow is Jake Mulford for the Redcar Bears. And off the outside in gate number 4 is Jacob Hook. Ben's dad Lee in good form this evening as the rain continues to fly in. I'm glad we're covered. I do feel for our cameraman this evening. Braver men than me. As the riders just make 1 or 2 last minute adjustments up at the tapes. Jacob Hook already seems to have got rid of a tear off there by the looks of it.
The worst thing with these conditions is the goggles is prone to fogging up a lot more.
Yeah. Here we go then. Joe Thompson just fidgeting again at the start line as he did on Saturday night, but the green light is on for heat number 2. Tapes are up and away we go. That's as level a break as you get, but Joe Thompson comes across and cuts off Ben Trigger and takes the lead. Then Joe Thompson shows the way from in white Ben Trigger. In third is Jacob Hook, and at the back is Jake Mulford, but Joe Thompson is under pressure from local boy Ben Trigger here, but he shows the way into lap number 2.
That was a great first turn by Joe there. He really got across and established where he wanted to be on the track. See, Joe's attacking it very well. I mean, to be fair, all 4 of these guys are riding the track very well. It's going to be hard to overtake at this point because it's not really an established line, but no, boys looking good, riding well.
They certainly are, and Ben Trigger is on the pace here behind Joe Thompson, but with 226 metres left to go, Joe Thompson is continuing his form from Saturday night and shows the way from Ben Trigger. These two have relatively dropped Jacob Hook and Jake Mulford at the back, but as they come into bends 3 and 4, it's going to be a win in red for Joe Thompson and continues his fine form. Joe Thompson wins. Ben Trigger with a really solid ride in second, not too far off the pace. In third is Jacob Hook. At the back is Jake Mulford, but it is a vital heat advantage in heat 2 for the Gladiators.
Most definitely, you know, it was the same again as last Saturday. You know, need to get this. You know, we need to break away early. We need to start building that lead early because we know we have been prone to it a few times this season, more in previous seasons where we sort of do all the hard work and it gets to the interval stage and then we sort of not lose it, but we lose it. So, yeah, if we can establish a decent lead now and the boys can figure out what the track's going to be doing, that's great.
Let's take the heat result then for heat number 2. And a win in red for Joe Thompson. He gets the 3. 2 points for Ben Trigger in second in white. A point in blue for Jacob Hook in third. And Jake Mulford at the back. You've got 2 races in 1 there in heat number 2. And we're just going to have a little bit of an interlude as we try and find out who gets the rider replacement in ride 3. But let's take a replay then, Mattie. It was a level break here for heat number 2.
Yeah, definitely. You know, that's going to make the first corners interesting tonight for sure. You know, the start gates being a lot more even. You can see, you know, as we pan in there is a hell of a lot more dirt. I can't really emphasise on how much more there is than we had Saturday night. But as I say, that's once that top layer comes off and a dirt line's established, that's going to make some great racing. It
actually looked from that side-on shot there that we had from the infield that Jacob Hook probably had the better of it going into the first bend, but perhaps the outside is not the place to be on the run into bends 1 and 2, and Joe Thompson and Ben Trigger were able to get away from them, and this really is the race sort of splits in half as Joe and Ben are away and gone, and the 2 lads at 7 there at the back just sort of struggling with their setup, a little bit tentative as they came up bends 3 and 4, as we look at Ben Barker in conversation with Garry May and Dan Gilkes. Spirits seem high despite the damp conditions.
They're smiling. That's a good sign.
They certainly are. Any time that Ben Parker is smiling is a good time to be alive. Ben was in good spirits Saturday night, really proud of his team's efforts as Ben makes a very slow amble out onto track.
Yeah, he's just lining up for Heat 4. He really thrives in these sort of conditions, you know, coming from that sort of grass track background anyway. That's why I was a little bit surprised with Jake Mulford, the way he sort of tailed off towards the end. The thing is, when the track is like this and there is a substantial bit more dirt than what there usually is, it really does, these early heats will really take it out of your arms and your forearms and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, no doubt there'll be setup changes made, I mean, as there usually is, but probably more so tonight. But no, I mean, so far so good. Everyone's staying on and everyone's looking fairly comfortable. One
thing we should say about the Redcar Bears, we joked there about Charles Wright being the relative grandfather of the team, but it's it must be great for these young lads to have somebody like Charles Wright to feed off.
Yeah, I mean, you can see there, James Wright is Charles's older brother, of course.
He knows this place well.
He does, obviously, former Plymouth Devil, former Somerset Rebel. He's, he was a top guy back in the day. A lot of people had a lot of big ambitions for James, and he didn't quite reach the heights as what Charles did. But I mean, he was still a very good rider, and having someone like James and Charles in the team tonight is really probably going to play. The young Redcar team is going to work for them really well, I believe.
It certainly is. We're just going to have a little hold up in proceedings. I think the clerk of the course of the referees just asked for a bit of a track grade. So while we do have Mark going around on the tractor, let's take a little message from our sponsors. As ever, very grateful to the sponsors here of Plymouth Speedway and of Gladiators TV. Alfie's bike looking well plastered in shale.
Oh, yes. I mean, the thing is, obviously, with these conditions, that's probably why the referee wants a track grade now, because there is so much more moisture in the dirt. There is a fair amount of clay mixed in with this, so it will clump together. So, when that stuff gets on you, I mean, that, again, could be another reason why some of these lads are slowing up the latter heats, because you suddenly put on like nearly a stone in weight, so it really does drag you down. I mean, I remember riding at King's Lynn in Sheffield back in the day when it was like a ploughed field, and if you were behind after a lap or two, you were kind of like, I'm done.
There'll be a fair bit of bike cleaning going on this evening as Bat shows us how to do it. Joe Thompson taking a well-earned sit down after his win there in Heat 2. Jacob Hook already making some adjustments. Always working hard to improve his game, isn't he, Jacob?
He is. I was chatting to him a bit before the meeting, actually. And I've not really spoken to Jacob much, so it's one of the first sort of proper interactions I have with him. But very pleasant young man. Makes me sound old now. Yeah, he was a nice lad. He's very ambitious. He's obviously a long way from home, so it's not so much that he wants to do well. He also has to do well. To keep his sort of name in the shop window for seasons to come.
I reckon he's feeling he's a long way from home with the current climate that we've got here in the West Country.
Although it's got to be better than Scotland, where he was based, isn't it?
Potentially. But what struck me about Jacob was, I think it was after the Scunthorpe Knockout Cup second leg tie here, he put in a large number of laps after racing concluded that night. He really wanted to get to grips with this circuit that he now calls home, as Batch goes to presumably see what's going on track, or just for a little comfort break as we look into the Redcar pits. There's Mark Phillips doing a sterling job on the tractor, just trying to shift some of that dirt around, just to try and give us an even surface to carry on this evening. As I mentioned, there's absolutely no concerns at the moment. The forecast is just a bit patchy, and it really did come in at the last minute, the change to the forecast tonight. As we look out over the Coliseum, Colin Hill stand, full of quite a few Redcar fans. There's a good number I saw on one of my walks around the track earlier, enjoying a nice night in Devon. Of course, they're in Poole tomorrow night on the second leg of their Southern tour, as we look at some bikes well undercover.
Oh, yes.
Best place for them in wet conditions and muddy conditions, I would suggest.
I remember my dad would always put those on, even if it was dry, just to keep the dust off them. He wouldn't want to wash two bikes or whatnot. But no, I was quite surprised actually by how many Redcar fans have made the journey down. But obviously, with them being at Poole tomorrow, it makes it a bit more worthwhile trip-wise. But no, it's good that they've decided to come to Speedway and not venture to Argyle and see a bit of Take That tonight.
Well, yes, exactly. Take That performing at the local football stadium. But where else would you rather be than the Coliseum watching Speedway? It's much better than watching Gary Barlow try and rule the world. As we look at the Gladiators riders at the pit gate, Garry May, another one who was very proud of his team's efforts on Saturday night against a really strong Poole Pirates. We see the back of Ben Trigger, something the Gladiators saw at the end of last season, but he's back tonight for the Redcar Bears, putting in some consistent performances for Redcar. He's not yet perhaps hitting the heights that he wanted to up in the north, but with every meeting, Ben's only just going to get stronger, isn't he?
Yeah, for sure. It's he's had that one season in the championship. He's pretty well established now in the National League, but you know, whenever you sort, unless you're like one of the top guys and you've got that riding experience, it's always hard going to a new track. You know, it always takes you a few months to.
And it'll be good for his development.
Oh, of
calling
course,
somewhere else home as well. It's all well and good calling the Coliseum your home, but you do have to learn on different tracks, and Redcar's completely different to the Coliseum.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Garry May actually in the off season, and we were talking about Alfie BOWTELL and how last year he was with Birmingham, and obviously previous to that he'd spent 2 years here, but he was kind of like, I needed Alfie to go away for a season, get that experience on different tracks and come back as a better rider. And you know, we've seen that with Garry before. I believe he'd done the same with Alex Davies off at Somerset back in the day.
Yep. He's not afraid for a change as we look at the brilliant staff from in the ambulance. Hopefully they won't be required this evening, but they really do a sterling job here at the Coliseum looking after any riders that do pick up any injuries as Ben Barker surveys his kingdom that he calls his own, the Plymouth Coliseum.
I was actually thinking earlier about Ben before I left here. He must be, if not there, he must be very close to making all-time appearances and point scorers over Simon Stevens.
Be close, yeah. Obviously a number of years back in the Devils days for Barker as well. As we now have riders out on track, and we're going to see Alfie BOWTELL out here taking the first rider replacement ride of the night in place of Dan Thompson. Dan, if you are tuning in this evening, we wish you all the very best in your recovery from COVID. As somebody who suffered from it myself in the past, it's not a pleasant experience, and particularly not when you're in peak physical shape as a speedway rider has to be, as the riders make their way round to the start. So we have two riders representing the Gladiators and two riders who have represented the Gladiators. And off the inside in blue is Kyle Newman. Off gate number 2 in white is Dan Gilkes. Off gate number 3 in red, taking that rider replacement ride, Alfie BOWTELL. And off the outside in yellow is Jason Edwards. And what we have here, I think, is 4 riders who you know you're always going to get 100% out of.
Oh yeah, I can't agree more with that. It's going to be an interesting race for sure. Obviously that track raid's going to have helped, you know, loosen up some of the dirt, but I still think at this early stage it's going to be about who gets to that first corner first, and but no, it could be very interesting.
Certainly will. The Bears coming off the gate 2 and 4, the Gladiators off 1 and 3. Kyle just having one last stretch. Of course, missed Saturday's clash with Poole through a family commitment, but he is here this evening, ready to get back on track in Gladiators colours. The now famous yellow and blue of the Gladiators. But it will be Alfie BOWTELL, again, as was his want on Saturday, will be the last one into line when he eventually sorts himself out. Start marshal then moves out of the way for heat number 3. Tapes are up and away we go, and it's a poor start from Dan Gilkes in white, and it's a tight first bend, but Alfie BOWTELL in red gets across Jason Edwards and takes the lead then in heat number 3. Alfie BOWTELL showing them the way from Jason Edwards in yellow. Kyle Newman slotted into 3rd, and Dan Gilkes after that poor start has it all to do, but Alfie BOWTELL is out and clear.
You can see Alfie's really attacking the track, and obviously that's showing with him being in front, but these guys really need to keep that motor on and get that back wheel spinning through it. You know, it's you can appreciate it's tricky, but you can see Kyle Newman there trying a couple different lines. Nice cut back there.
This race is not over. Kyle Newman is building up speed as we go into bends 3 and 4, and with a lap to go, he is going to be all over Jason Edwards here. Dan Gilkes looks like he's pulled up at the back, but out in front, Alfie BOWTELL. This is the Alfie BOWTELL we know and love around the Coliseum, and as he comes to take the checkered flag, it's Alfie BOWTELL for a win in heat number 3. 2nd in yellow is Jason Edwards. Kyle Newman in 3rd. Gave it a go in the middle part of the race. He claims a point. It's another 4-2 for the Gladiators with Dan Gilkes retiring at the back. It's now 11-7, and this is just what the doctor ordered for the Gladiators.
No, it's a fantastic ride by Alfie. He, you know, done what he had to from the start, and he looked like he really wanted to win that race. You know, I mean, it sounds a bit weird saying, but you can really tell when a rider's on track and they're enjoying their riding and they're really wanting to do well, and Alfie showed that in that one. He just, yeah, class ride.
It certainly was, and Alfie BOWTELL takes the win in red. 2nd in yellow for Jason Edwards, a 3rd in blue for Kyle Newman, and at the back, Dan Gilkes never really recovered from that poor start, and it is a 4-2 for the Gladiators. And as expected, the 2-minute time allowance is immediately put on by referee Chris DURNO, and straight away Ben Barker on track in the red helmet colour. We're also going to have a rider replacement in white here. Without trying to play Gavin PARR Sudoku, I suspect this might be Charles Wright. Straight off the bat.
I would think so. I mean, it's not too much of a lead the Gladiators have, but the Bears aren't going to want to let it run away from them too much.
And this is why I should stick to Garry May Sudoku. It's going to be Ben Trigger who's going to come out in white.
Okay.
After a really impressive first ride where he was hot on the pace behind Joe Thompson, but the lineup then for heat number 4 off the inside in blue is Jacob Hook. Gate number 2 in yellow is Jake Mulford. Gate number 3 in red is Ben Barker. Off the outside gate in white will be Ben Trigger. So Ben Barker then coming off gate number 3. 2 local lads then off gates 3 and 4. Ben Barker and Ben Trigger as young Ben makes his way round to the tapes.
I'm going to make a bold statement, and I think if Ben can get the right line from the sort of get-go, I think we could see a very, very fast time here. Maybe not a track record, but a very fast time.
Potentially. Ben tried to play at ultra professional on Saturday night, saying it was about the team, not his track record, but we know how dear that is to him. I remember when Ben was out with a shoulder injury a couple of years ago, he came and stood with us on Ben 2 with the Bar Bandits, and he was furious that somebody had took his track record that night and said he was going to rush back his recovery, but he didn't do. He came back in good time, and we're seeing the effects of that now. So the start marshal moves out of the way then for heat number 4. Tapes up and away we go. It's not a bad start off the outside by Ben Trigger, but as Mattie Bates predicted pre-race, Ben Barker gets across, he lifts there, and Ben Barker is down. Ben Barker is down on the back straight. The race will be stopped. Ben hits the deck. He picked up quite a bit of speed coming off gate number 2 there, and the paramedics will just get over to Ben Barker just to check on his well-being. Mark Simmons and Charles Wright making their way across the infield as well.
I've got to say props to Jake Mulford then for taking avoidant action.
Yes, he did very well to get out of the way there. That was a nasty collision from what I could see out of the truck here for Ben Barker. Just seemed to lose it off the exit of Ben 2. Picked up a fair bit of grip and unfortunately acquainted himself with the not so air fence on the back straight.
Yeah, he kind of straightened up at the wrong time really. When he initially got that bit of drive, he didn't fully have his wheels in line, and he just sort of like hit the fence really. He just kind of ran out of room for himself. But Ben's a tough guy. I'm sure he's got that corner spirit in him. So hopefully he's okay and he'll be back up and able to continue the meeting.
Yeah, he is just being looked at by the medical staff there on the back straight in front of the patrons in the Colin Hill stand. Charles Wright going over for a chat with Garry May. Gavin PARR is going to go over and check on the Gladiators skipper's well-being, but Mark Simmons is just going to lead Ben's bike away. We'll await to hear about Ben's well-being. There is Ben's bike, and his handlebars look like they may have seen better days, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's very much Joe Screen looking at the minute, isn't it?
It's not looking in great shape, Ben's bike. Obviously, we hope that Ben is in great shape when he gets up off the deck, but they are taking some care and concern looking at Ben Barker. So we will just watch Mark Simmons wheel his bike away as we keep our fingers crossed that Ben will get up pretty quickly. Referee Chris DURNO is going out to take a look himself, I think.
Yeah, it's never nice to see with any rider, especially when it's one of your own, and obviously your captain and stuff. As it looks like he's getting up, which that's a great sign.
Yeah, there he is. It'll take a lot more than that to keep Ben Barker down.
No, I mean I remember Ben back when we were younger. I've literally seen him like duct tape his shoulder up just so he can go out and ride the next race and stuff. He's made of stern stuff. It's just unfortunately it's Speedway. These things happen, and hopefully there'll be no more offs like that tonight. Yeah,
I think the referees just checking there that there was nothing to do with the track that caused the incident.
No, I mean you can see that when Ben initially went to get his wheels in line, it was maybe just a little bit too soon, or maybe the track just caught him out slightly, and he just, again, as I said earlier, he just kind of ran out of room. But that is where the crashes can really injure a rider. I mean, he just missed the air fence, but the thing is then when the bike's going straight, you're almost going straight in with it. So you're going in stiff opposed to that ragdoll effect, if that makes sense. But no, it's great to see him, hobbling back. It's the little Cornish picks. He's doing good.
Yeah, apologies for those of you at home who perhaps wanted to see what had actually happened to Ben. We were switching angles at the time, so as Ben goes to cry over his handlebars at the state that his bike finds himself in. But it's good to see Ben's up, so we do apologise that we did miss the crash. But the important thing, all that matters, is that Ben Barker is up and fine, and that it doesn't seem like anything untoward happened. It's just that Ben picked up a little bit extra grit. That bike is in a sorry state.
I mean, to be honest, Ben has always told me he did fancy a ride on a Rudge, so he's kind of, he's kind of halfway there. I mean, his mudguard's taken a bit of a beating, but better, a broken mudguard than a broken bone on a rider for sure.
Well, definitely, and Ben in recent years has had a fair few of those as he just collects his breath. Be interesting to have a chat with him after the meeting just to see what sort of shape he's in. As Mark Phillips comes out and try. I think we're going to have a replacement board on the back straight. I think we need a bit of track work. So yet another interlude as Ben's going to have himself checked over. I think he knows these paramedics by first name now around the Coliseum. I don't think they need to ask him for his NHS number, that's for sure. They've probably got it written down. There's Garry.
I'm sure that would have been a nervous moment for Garry then.
Definitely would have been. Already down Nico Cavati. He certainly doesn't want to lose his talisman. Easy for me to say, and Ben Barker. Gavin PARR just geeing up Ben Trigger, and we're going to see a bit of track work go on here. Not on the track, but actually the track board.
I mean, looking at the guys just kind of standing and looking at it, like I get it. I've been there myself, but like, the track, it is a bit patchy at the minute. It's been crazy weather the last couple of days.
It's not had a chance to bed in, is it? We
no,
have the
of course
extensive
not.
track work, and a huge amount of credit has to go to the band of volunteers here at the Coliseum, because they really did work. I don't think a lot of people realise just the conditions that these guys worked in the winter. We have had a horrendous winter in the West Country, as a lot of people have up and down the country, but particularly here in the West Country, and they've worked tirelessly to get the track in shape, fit for racing, and it's just unfortunate on this circumstance that Ben just picked up a bit of grip. And what's really refreshing is that all the Redcar Bears riders did check on Ben as he came back in there. Charles Wright, obviously one of the first ones over to him. So it was great to see the Bears checking on him as we take a look around the track. And what is reassuring is I don't think there's any concerns from the riders on the surface that we're racing on this evening. I think that was just an unfortunate incident of Ben perhaps leaving the throttle open a little bit too much, or perhaps he just misjudged Ben too, which would be unlike Ben Barker. As we check on Garry May, and let's see who Mattie's picked up in the pits.
As you can see, Gladiators taking a little look at the track. You can see there Jacob Hook and Connor Bailey, along with Gavin PARR. Mark Phillips is coming out of the track there. As we look at the track, you can see there is a fair amount of material on it opposed to Saturday night. But as we've emphasised this evening, there's been a hell of a lot more water, especially with the rain shower we had previous to the meeting starting. But just walking down into pit lane now, we can see riders and mechanics making some changes, brushing themselves down. It's obviously slightly tricky out there at the moment. That can't be denied. But the track, to be fair, is looking pretty good, all things considered. I think it's just going to take a couple heats to turn it over. Obviously, as me and Joe were saying on comms, there is a lot of clay in this material. So, when the bike does grip, it grips hard. That was a very nasty crash we saw there with Ben, but thankfully he sort of got up. You can see there Ben's bike. Obviously, straight away you can see the rear mudguards taking a bit of a battering, and he's got those handlebars that kind of resemble a Rudge or maybe a Joe Screen or Carl Stonehewer. But apart from that, can't see any bumps or lumps in the diamond of the frame. So, the clutch is filled up with a fair bit of dirt. But I would imagine, should Ben continue, it'll probably be a jump on the spare bike. You can see, we look over there, Alfie BOWTELL had a fabulous win in that heat number 3 rider replacement ride. Really dominated the race from start to finish, which was great to see. I know Alfie, he's been riding very consistently, especially at home, but I know he has been striving for better performances, especially at home in himself. we'll see if we can have a word with Alfie, actually. All right, bud. All right to have a word? Cool. So we're here with Alfie BOWTELL. Alfie, great last ride.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Definitely challenging conditions, but making the most of the RR ride, so that's good. Happy days.
Is the track, is it purely just grippy, or is it patchy as well as grippy?
Oh, no, it's patchy, and then mid-bend on 1 and 2 is quite tricky, and then coming off a 4 is a bit dusty. So, yeah, the rain's, I think the rain's come more on 1 and 2 than it has 3 and 4.
So, I mean, I was just saying, I was speaking to you the other week, and you've been having a solid season to start with, but on your own self-reflection, you were saying you wanted to sort of have these more stronger nights where you're winning more races, and seems tricky conditions, but seems to be suiting you at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I've had a pretty consistent start to the year, but yeah, just got to keep ticking off the race wins and enjoying it.
Well, good luck for the rest of the meeting, mate, and I'll catch you soon. So a little word there from Alfie BOWTELL. I've just seen Mark Simmons, Ben Barker's mechanic, ride the spare bike in, which is a great sign, which hopefully means Ben will be continuing the rest of the meeting. As I said on comms, I've literally seen Ben duct tape his shoulder back and pour methanol over himself just to numb it. So he's made of stern stuff. You can see Carl Newman there putting a bit of grip wire on his grips, maybe a little bit loose or whatnot. That'll just keep it nice and tight. Definitely don't want 2 throttles going into a corner at high speed, that's for sure. Quite an interesting little tool they use, the old grip wire tools. But yeah, as we look around, you can see there's been changes made. There's a lot of tools lying around on the floor. You can see Batch there is looks like he's just tightening up his rocket cover, so maybe just checking out the tappets or just making sure everything's nice and tight there. But no, very much the same over in the Redcar pits as well. There's been a few changes made onto the bikes, which, you know, with the track as it is at the moment, that's you can understand that. But you can see there, Tyler just brushing the dirt off the rims. You can see how it really sticks on. I mean, yeah, it's heavy stuff, as we said. If you're behind, the dirt that the bike collects and your Kevlar's collecting really can weigh you down. So yeah, Tyler's going to have some dirty hands, but hey, that's mechanicking for you. So as we look back out to the track, you can see still a bit of work going on to the kickboard on the back straight. Mark's just given it a light scrape. You can see Jacob Hook here and Joe Thompson. How are we doing, guys?
Yeah, alright. Good. How are you?
I'm good. What's it like out there?
Yeah, it's a bit challenging. Obviously a fair bit of dirt on it, as you can see, so it's just hard to get it turned, and then when you get it turned, it's kind of coming round, and then because you're off the gas, there's not enough motor in it, so yeah, it's just towing you around a little bit. And as you've seen what happened to Ben there, he just hit a rut and then was just out of control.
Compared to back home, how you ride, obviously weather's dramatically different. Are the tracks fairly different material-wise, or is it kind of similar to here?
Yeah, anything you know in Australia, nearly put it in your back pocket and keep it for when you go home. Yeah, it's totally different over here. No track or shale really the same, and yeah, bike setup's completely different.
Well, I'll let you crack on and have a good rest of the meeting, bud. So we can see there some of the Redcar Bears team having a look. Mark, you can see Mark there on the track there in the distance, just getting some of that material to break down. As we say, the clay really does bind together, makes it quite sticky. So new white line going round. You see there is a fair amount of dirt there. You can see Garry May speaking with announcer Lazar there. See if we can grab a quick word with Garry. All right, Garry. Yeah, it's not as grippy as it used to be in the old days, is it?
Nah, it's really grippy tonight, yeah, but yeah, sort the track out, and I think we'll be all right for tonight then. It'll be all right.
I was saying before, obviously we had that downpour, and obviously there is a lot more dirt on the track because of that tonight, but I think later in the meeting that could prove to make a good racetrack.
Yeah, generate some dirt and it'll be all right, but we just take this bit off at the moment because it's a little bit too deep, and then hopefully it'll be sorted out and we'll go on to win, hopefully.
Ideal, that's what we like to hear. So a little word there from, Garry May. As we say, you can see the track. There is, it's fairly solid on that riding line underneath, but with that sort of clay substance, it is a fair bit sticky. But for now, I think that's really all we can say. So I'll pass you back to Joe in comms, and I'll join you again shortly.
Cheers, Matty. Yeah, really good to hear from some of the faces of the pit lane there. Good to hear from Garry in good spirits. Great to see the track work is now complete there on the back straight. What's really reassuring, I think, is that both teams are really working hard to continue this meeting, and the referee Chris DURNO also doing his very best just to offer a bit of advice, a bit of guidance, see what we can do to get this meeting to continue. As we take a look down the home straight, you can just see there just how much dirt has built up, and I really can't stress enough to everyone watching at home, it has been bone dry in Plymouth all day, and then just out of the blue at about 5:30 this evening we started having a few showers, and it really has caught everybody out. The forecast literally didn't change till about 4 o'clock today, so it really is challenging for everybody involved. Dan Gilkes just giving an interview to the crowd here at the Coliseum. Good to see the 3X Gladiators in action. There's the Bar Bandits over on bend number 2, sporting their Garry May replica white shirts. They look more like ice cream sellers from this distance. But great to see. They will be going all over the country this season, so if you are a Redcar fan, do keep an eye out later in the season. They will be up at the Echo Arena getting behind the Gladiators and making plenty of noise. As we just finish off the last couple of little bits of track work that need sorting, and then we will get back underway with the rerun of heat number 4. Just an unfortunate incident. And on cue, it's as if Chris DURNO can hear me. He fires up the 2-minute time allowance. And I really can't stress enough just how much gratitude we should show both teams for really giving this a go this evening. It is challenging, but it is doable with the right attitude, and both teams are certainly showing that up to this point. And fingers crossed, as I just look out at the studio, I can actually see a little hint of blue sky over bend 3, but I don't want to jinx it. Maybe it's just a little break in the clouds, who knows. But we are going to see riders back out on track. Ben Trigger will be the first of those. Ben Trigger making his way back out. Mattie's rejoined me. Has it warmed up outside?
I'll tell you what, it is still the same.
Good. It has got brighter.
No, to be fair,
it definitely has got brighter.
I don't know if it's warmed up a little bit or if it was just a little bit of casual sprinting around the pits, but no, there's a bit of sun trying to break out now, so that's good for business.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, Ben Barker is excluded for being the cause of the stoppage there in heat number 4. So we are down to just 3 riders here in heat number 4. This adds a really different makeup to heat number 4 now, because we've got 3 reserves out on the track. So beforehand we had Ben Barker and 3 reserves. Now we have just got a trio of reserves.
It'll be interesting to see who's made the most setup changes
well,
from
it
Heat
certainly
2.
will. And let's take the lineup then for Heat 4, the revised lineup. Off the inside in blue is Jacob Hook. Gate 2 in yellow is Jake Mulford. Nobody in gate number 3 because Ben Barker is excluded. And off the outside in white is Ben Trigger. So, a possible avenue for the Redcar Bears to get back into the fixture here. Down 4, 11-7. Start Marshall is going to call the riders into line, and we will soon be back underway. The resumption of the Cab Direct fixture is about to get underway after the hard work of the track team. Green light fires up. Up go the tapes and away they go, and Ben Trigger gets across from gate number 4, and it's Ben Trigger then who takes the lead. Jacob Hook is all over him in second place. Jake Mulford at the back, but local boy Ben Trigger is going to try and show Jacob Hook the way home here in heat number 4, and Ben Trigger is definitely looking stylish out front.
Yeah, it was a great first corner by Ben, and obviously that experience with the track is really paying dividends in this one. Jacob's going to want to kind of half play it safe. He's not going to want to put himself in a position where he could throw away a few more points, obviously with this lead now, but no, the track seems to a bit more settled. You can see each rider's giving it a bit of a better go, so long may that continue.
1 lap to go, and I can assure you this is going to feel oh so special for Ben Trigger if he can make this last. As he heads down into bends 3 and 4, Dadley is going to be proud as punch as Ben Trigger crosses the line for a win in heat number 4. The local boy does it for the opposition. It's Ben Trigger who takes the win, and he just goes the Bar Bandits on bend number 2. With a bit of playful banter, but Ben Trigger, local boy, acting for the enemy on the evening, riding for Redcar, and he takes the win in heat number 4, and that will mean the world to him. And it's been a really nice start for Ben. Obviously he was on the pace in heat number 2, and he gets the win there in heat number 3, leaving the score 13-11 as we take the result in heat number 4. And a win in white for Ben Trigger, a second in blue for Jacob Hook, a third in white and his first point of the evening for Jake Mulford, and as mentioned beforehand, Ben Barker was excluded. But we are quickly on with heat number 2. We are going to try heat number 2. Crikey, where have I been? Heat number 5. We are going to try and avoid the showers as Brother Joe will take Dan's ride here in heat number 5. Really interesting makeup of this one as well now, with Ben Trigger getting that heat advantage for the Bears in heat number 4, with Charles Wright out here in heat 5. This is a chance potentially for Redcar, if not to level the meeting, but maybe even take a little bit of a lead.
Yeah, I would expect a different Josh Bailey in this one as well, coming from that inside gate.
Or Connor Bailey.
Connor Bailey, even. That's the one. Josh is his brother, the not so successful Bailey.
Yeah.
No, I would expect a much different ride here from Connor.
Let's just quickly take the lineup for heat 5. Off the inside in yellow is Connor Bailey. Gate 2 in red, taking the rider replacement is Joe Thompson. Gate 3 in white is Charles Wright. And off the gate 4 in blue is Kyle Newman.
But yeah, Connor would, I did see him in the pits making a few changes. He's going off gate 1, which, if he can make it, he's on that line he wants to be on already. So, yeah, I would expect a different ride from Connor, but it's going to be an interesting heat.
Certainly be interesting to get those gate stats up a little bit later on in the night, just to see what a difference that rain has had. You can see a lot of dirt built up there on gate number 2. That was the place to be on Saturday night. I'm not too sure looking at that. It's the place to be at the moment.
No, but I mean, hopefully the potatoes will be done by next meeting. So, but no, as we said, the starts do look a lot fairer all the way through this time around. So, it'll be interesting.
I didn't realise we were short of chips in the bar.
They're very popular.
They certainly are. As the start marshal moves out of the way for heat number 5, green lights on, tapes up, and away they go. Kyle Newman gets bogged down at the start, and this is perfect for the Redcar Bears as Connor Bailey slots in behind Charles Wright. This is just what the doctor ordered as they complete the end of lap number 1. Charles Wright is out in front now. Kyle Newman is going to try and put Connor Bailey under pressure as they head into bend 1 and 2. Kyle Newman tries to go up the inside, but Connor Bailey holds the line. Perfect for the Redcar Bears.
Yeah, it's a great ride by the 2 Redcar duo. You can see Kyle there, he's really trying to attack that inside coming into turn 1. He's taking a wider line there, but it just seems to be he's getting the speed up now, so it's just trying to figure out that line.
This one isn't done yet as Kyle Newman tries to build up some speed off bends 3 and 4. He's going to try one last time. He's got 1 lap left to do it. He left it a little bit late in his last race. Is he going to leave it a little bit late this time? Connor Bailey, though, is riding an intelligent line. Meanwhile, out in front, Charles Wright. That's all she wrote for him, out of the gate and gone. It's an important 5-1 for the Redcar Bears. Connor Bailey slots in a second. Kyle Newman gave it all he had in third. It wasn't to be, and Joe Thompson at the back, never really in it from the moment the gates went up. But Charles Wright, yet again, showing them how it's done around the Coliseum. It may be tricky, but Charles Wright at the moment is making it look easy. And what a ride in second there from Connor Bailey. Had to have made a couple of little adjustments after his first ride.
Most definitely, he looked a lot more comfortable in that race too. Like really looked like he sort of had fun out there on his bike. He rode a smart race, he was under pressure.
He certainly was, but let's quickly take the result of heat number 5. A win in white for Charles Wright, second in yellow for Connor Bailey, third in blue for Kyle Newman. At the back, Joe Thompson, a 5-1 reverse for the Redcar Bears, 16 points to 14. Carry on, Mattie.
But yeah, changes have definitely been made, I would imagine, by all riders tonight, given the conditions. You can already see a slick line is now starting to appear, and it's looking a lot more comfortable out there for him. So I don't think it'll be long before they're chasing the grip again.
Certainly be a little bit awkward if we have to start watering by heat number 12. But
stranger things have happened.
A rider replacement in white here. I'm going to see Jason Edwards. It is who's going to come out and take Danny King's ride in heat number 6, and he will be coming off gate number 2. As we mentioned, gate number 2 showing a lot of dirt out in front of it. This is where the riders make their money, though, isn't it? It's how they pack this dirt in to give themselves the best possible propelling, if you like, off the start line.
I mean, sure. I mean, with this, you can see there, as we focus on gate 2, there is a lot of material there. I mean, sometimes you're better not to go off a rut in this, because the ruts do tend to get deep fast, but you just want to find that nice bit of squidgy stuff, pack it in, roll the tyre over it a couple of times, and easier said than done. But it's gate 1 seems to be looking pretty good at the minute. We've
It certainly does, and off gate 1 is where we'll see Troy Batchelor in red. Gate number 2 in white is Jason Edwards on 2 points. Gate number 3 after his winning 2 heats ago is Alfie BOWTELL in blue, and off the outside in yellow is Ben Trigger, who's already got 5 points from his first 2 rides of the evening. So this is important now for the Gladiators. All eyes on Troy Batchelor and Alfie BOWTELL here, need to get themselves back in front.
It'll be interesting to see if Ben doesn't make it from gate 4, if he goes for one of those signature cutbacks he used to do.
Yes, of course, that gate 4 was where he had that joy in heat number 4, albeit without somebody on his inside that time, whereas he's got the ever hard-working Alfie BOWTELL, who will be the last one into line for heat number 6. An important heat number 6. Start marshal moves out of the way, the green light's on. The tapes are up and away we go. Who's going to make it into into Ben 1? It's Troy Batchelor off the inside who makes it. Slotting into third there is Ben Trigger, who gets awfully out of shape. And Alfie BOWTELL will slop at the inside. Ben Trigger is down there on Ben 3. Troy Batchelor shows the way, and the red lights are on with Ben Trigger down on the track. Troy Batchelor it was who was out in front. It looked a little bit tight there by Alfie BOWTELL and Ben Trigger. We're going to take the replay here. Ben was out of shape. Alfie goes up his inside. It's difficult to see there if there was much contact.
I mean, in fairness, there wasn't really a lot Alfie could do there. You know, Ben initially made that got that unwanted drive down the back straight, which kind of off-centered Alfie as well. So wasn't really a lot Alfie could do there. I mean, again, it's a hard decision, but from where I looked at, you know, Ben looked like he probably could have saved it if he really wanted to.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? We'll await Chris DURNO's ruling in this important heat number 6, where the 2 minutes is on straight away, and Ben Trigger is throwing his arms around, and I think we may well have our answer.
I think, in fairness, you know, it's never nice, but I think, in fairness, that was probably the right decision. There wasn't a lot of room there for Alfie really to do much different. He was on the inside as it was, and as I say, Ben sort of took his time to slide off, so he probably could have saved it if he wanted to, but sometimes it's worth the gamble, you know.
It certainly is, and well, Ben Barker's mishap in heat number 4 presented a golden opportunity to the Redcar Bears. Ben Trigger's slip there off Ben 3. I need to stop saying gates and bends. Off Ben 3 has potentially opened up the door here for the Gladiators to get back in the fixture. It's going to be Jason Edwards who's going to have to do it all his own work here against Troy Batchelor and Alfie BOWTELL.
I mean, in fairness to Jason, he made a fabulous start then from gate 2. So, you know, you'll definitely want a repeat performance of that. You know, obviously Troy on that inside, you need to get across him, because if you're not, he's definitely going to push you out the way.
It was a good gate from Batch, wasn't it? He got to that first bend in front, and he was showing them the way to do it, as Alfie just takes one last adjustment. You can see the ice cream sellers of the Bar Bandits behind Alfie in the picture, as Batch makes his way round to the gate, and Alfie will soon join him. So let's take the revised lineup then for heat number 6. And off the inside in red is Troy Batchelor. Gate 2 in white is Jason Edwards. Gate number 3 in blue is Alfie BOWTELL. Gate number 4 is vacant. Just the 3 riders again.
I mean, in fairness, Alfie made a good gate from 3 in that initial one. He got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, I believe, going in the first corner, got shoved probably a little bit wider than he wanted to be. But
I think in fairness to Ben Trigger, he was unfortunate there, because he had actually made a good start and he just got a little bit out of shape.
He had a very good
Ben
first,
2, didn't he? And that sort of put him off. He wasn't as comfortable then going into Ben 3, and that's what led to his demise. But Alfie BOWTELL, as is his wont, is the last one to get set. Green lights on, tapes are up, and away we go. And Jason Edwards has made a good start, but Batch comes across, and Troy Batchelor squeezes Jason Edwards out, and this is just what the Gladiators wanted. And Batch just lets Alfie BOWTELL slot out in front of him, and it looks like Batch is going to do the team job here of seeing Alfie BOWTELL home in heat number 6. But this is gold dust for the Gladiators.
Again, a very established first lap there from Alfie. You can see he really wants it. It looks like a different rider than we saw Saturday. I mean, he had a good night on Saturday, but obviously loving the conditions. Obviously, we spoke to him earlier in the pits, and he said it was a bit tricky, but he's a former motocrosser, so it's pretty smooth for him, I bet.
It certainly is, and Alfie BOWTELL starting to look stylish out in front here in heat number 6, and this is ultra professional from Troy Batchelor, the guest in second, just shepherding his teammate home for the night. But Alfie BOWTELL heads into Ben 3 and 4. Jason Edwards has started to pick up a bit of speed, but it's going to be too little too late. It's a maximum for the Gladiators in heat 6. We're going to see Tom Hark play around the stadium. That'll get the home fans going. That'll get the Bar Bandits going and the patrons on the back straight in the Colin Hill stand. The Gladiators retake the lead at the end of a maximum in heat number 6, and it's back-to-back wins for Alfie BOWTELL.
No, it was, again, a great ride from Alfie. I mean, fair play to Batch. You know, he's not a Plymouth rider. He doesn't have to really look out for the Plymouth riders. You know, for him, it's an extra payday. But you know, he shepherded him home fine there and let him crack on. And you know, looked like he was, you know, aware of Jason the entire time, so he didn't want to throw any points.
He certainly was. And Alfie BOWTELL takes the win in blue. Second in red is Troy Batchelor, a 5-1 to the Gladiators, a point for Jason Edwards in third. Of course, Ben Trigger was excluded as being the primary cause of the stoppage in heat number 6. So a 5-1 to the Gladiators puts the score 19 to the home side, 17 to the Redcar Bears as we reach the end of heat number 6. And surprisingly, I've managed to get through the result, and Chris DURNO hasn't put the 2 minutes on. Perhaps he's forgot which button he needs to push.
Maybe his finger's a bit, you know, stiff.
Maybe.
He's been pressing it awfully quick tonight, you know.
Potentially, Gavin PARR's thinking about an adjustment here.
I got to say, that is a fantastic program board.
It is, isn't it?
Wow.
Certainly is, and that's a pristine-looking Redcar Bears jacket as well.
It is. Again, very nice race suits this season.
Oh, we're going to have a reserve replacement in blue. So there I am speculating that Gavin PARR's going to make the change. We're off on Garry May Sudoku. And it's going to be Jacob Hook who's going to come out here in blue, replacing Joe Thompson. Joe was a bit off colour there in Heat 5. He wasn't really involved.
Yeah, I think obviously with the extra track grading we had and obviously the incident with Ben, that there was... It's not a lot of heats, but when you're making changes and you know, the track's changing more because there's track work going on, it can really unsettle you.
Of course, it's my mistake. I should have realised that Jason Edwards had ridden in heat number 6, and that's why the 2 minutes didn't come straight on. Just to give Jason a bit of time to collect his thoughts.
You see Jason there still got a little bit of blood in the eye from that crash up at Berwick. It's good to see him back so quick, though.
Certainly is. Another rider who always tends to give you everything he's got, Jason Edwards. It was the season with Jason Crump and Bjarne Pedersen, wasn't it, that Jason Edwards was in the team?
Yeah, that tail end of the season, wasn't it?
Certainly was. And Ben Barker having a few adjustments, trying to get himself set. 2 minutes isn't on yet, Ben. You're a little bit keen. I hate to tell you at home, the mist has rolled in at the Coliseum. Just 1 or 2 drops of rain just starting to fall again, but it isn't anything serious. As I say, I should stress that most of the time tonight it's just been these really horrible squally showers that have just blown in on a gust, and it did catch everybody out. But to be fair, the track looks a lot more amenable now. Riders certainly looking a little bit more comfortable out there after that extensive track work after Ben Barker's crash. Ben, the 2 minutes still aren't on, mate.
I think, as it's probably been quoted up the road, Ben, you just need to have a little patience.
Very good. Jacob Hook prepares himself to come out in place of Joe Thompson in heat number 7. Ben Barker is at the tapes. He's the only one at the tapes, and we haven't heard the duck go off just yet.
No, he'll be keen, especially after an off in his first one. He'll want to just, you know, get there early, settle himself in, and you know, look for a win.
There it is. Jason Edwards has had his little break, and we are ready to go. The 2 minutes are on. We're certainly not going to lose Ben Barker to a time exclusion unless his bike goes bang at the start tapes. As we look out over the Coliseum, you can just see there it's pretty set in behind the trees, but it's nothing. The radar doesn't suggest we're going to have anything too substantial. So as many heats as we can get in, the better. As
even the riders, start marshal's having a bit of a brush down there.
I hope he's got plenty of Daz washing powder at home, because he's going to need it at the end of tonight. We've already got Dan Gilkes down at the tapes, and Jason Edwards is now going to join the party. Despite being down at the tapes an hour ago, Ben Barker still isn't in line. He's now coming around to join them. But let's take the lineup then for heat number 7, and off the inside in white will be Dan Gilkes. Gate number 2 in red is Ben Barker, looking to complete on his second ride of the night. Gate number 3 in yellow is Jason Edwards, and off the outside in blue is Jacob Hook, who will be buoyed by that second place in his last ride, albeit there was only 3 riders, but he wasn't too far off the pace. Probably a frustrating night for Jacob on Saturday with 4 third places, but he is a consistent rider, and he seems in good spirits when you spoke to him.
Yeah, I mean, on Saturday especially, he rode a lot better than his points suggested. I thought, you know, he deserved a lot more for his effort, but unfortunately that's the nature of the beast, and that's how it goes sometimes. You can have a night where you score not very many, but you really do put in a shift.
Thinking cricket terms, we're getting the covers on at the moment. The rain is blowing in sideways, but it still is that horrible fine drizzle that gets you soaked as the riders come up to the line in heat number 7. Credit to them for getting the show on the road, and we're about to get heat 7 on the shale. Tapes are up and away we go. It's a good start in yellow there by Jason Edwards, and the Redcar Bears come across Ben Barker. That won't please him, and the Redcar Bears are on a maximum, but Ben tries to go around the outside of Dan Gilkes. It wasn't to be on that occasion, but you can bet your bottom dollar he's not going to give up. Now he cuts up to the inside, but he doesn't quite have the drive, but the Redcar Bears are on another maximum.
Yeah, it's a bit of a timid ride that from Ben. You can see he's trying to figure out which line would be best for him. I don't know, maybe that knock's just playing on his mind a little bit. I'm sure he'll figure it out.
He certainly will, and he was trying to go high and wide, but that's not the place to be at the moment. And with a lap to go, the Redcar Bears look like they're about to wrestle back their advantage in the max. Ben Barker's pulling up there. Ben Barker will retire from heat number 7, and that sets it up perfectly for the Redcar Bears and the 2 former Gladiators, and Jason Edwards and Dan Gilkes showing their former club just what they're missing, and they take the maximum in heat number 7. So we're trading 5-1s now, 3 in 3 successive heats going opposite directions, but it's a win in yellow for Jason Edwards. Dan Gilkes in 2nd, Jacob Hook in 3rd. Ben Barker there has actually completed, so I'm not quite sure. Hopefully it's bike related and nothing too physical, but Ben was pretty clear that he couldn't complete the race under his own steam, and he coasted around in his own time. But the heat result for heat number 7, a win in yellow for Jason Edwards. Virtue of that great start for the Redcar Bears. 2nd in white was Dan Gilkes, a 3rd in blue for Jacob Hook. Ben Barker, as mentioned, eventually finished in 4th. Mark Simmons just going to take a look at Ben's bike as he slowly and gingerly makes his way off the track. He's blowing heavy. Ben, I'm not totally sure he's 100%, but let's take a look at this start for the Bears, because this is jet propelled from the 2 Redcar Bears riders. They knew exactly what they were doing from the start line here. They were getting across to Ben 1, and they were making it work. Watch this. Precision from Dan Gilkes. That
was fantastic. It's like he's on a rail almost. See, Ben just had a little nibble there and ran out of room, but the thing is, when you're on your 2nd bike, and you're used to riding that other bike all season, it really can take you a few races to get used to it.
It looked here like he was going to really mount an effort. He tries to come up the inside of Dan Gilkes, so he doesn't quite have the drive to get it done, does he?
Yeah, I mean, old school Ben probably would have just dive bombed him, but after already having a fall tonight, and the track being a little bit unpredictable still, he's not going to want to put himself up for another bump.
He didn't look particularly comfortable.
Yeah, he didn't.
Coming up the home straight there, did he? Bless him. Hopefully he can sort himself out before his next programme ride, as the rain continues to come in. Of course, we need to get to heat 10 as quickly as we can, I think. Is probably the word of the night. Got a couple of changes, I think, here in heat number 8. We're going to see a reserve switch for both teams as they come up to the line for heat number 8. We'll get that lineup confirmed to you pronto. And off the inside in yellow will be local boy Ben Trigger, looking to make amends from that fall in his last ride. Off the gate number 2 in blue is Joe Thompson replacing Jacob Hook. Ben Trigger replacing Jake Mulford. Gate number 3 in white is Connor Bailey. Gate number 4 in red is Alfie BOWTELL. Connor just got his gates mixed up, but he's done a bit of Alfie's gardening for him. I hate to tell you, this rain has got a little bit heavier since I mentioned that it was just blowing in off a breeze. It's a
little bit more persistent now,
it is,
isn't it?
yeah, and it's looking set over the A38, so hopefully it doesn't cause havoc with track conditions again.
There is a bit of sun in the distance following it, so hopefully that'll blow over fair quick.
Let's hope the distance isn't Liscard as they come into line for heat number 8. Let's hope the sun is just around the corner. We might need a bit of patience for it. And the riders are at the tapes then for heat number 8. The green light will shoot on. Tapes up and away they go in heat number 8. And Ben Trigger's made the gate. The Redcar Bears have done it again from the gate. Ben Trigger and Connor Bailey it is. And Connor slots around the outside of Ben Trigger, who's now going to have Alfie BOWTELL all over his exhaust. But the Redcar Bears are showing the Gladiators how to do it from the gate. And they're set for another maximum as it stands.
See Alfie there just trying to go a little bit wider. He's generating a lot of speed down the back straight. In fairness, he's probably going a bit quicker than Ben. Might see the pass here, and oh, that's a lovely pass there by Alfie.
Clip that up, Alfie will want it on his social media. That's a brilliant move from Alfie BOWTELL, but Ben Trigger's trying with everything he's got. And with a lap to go, Alfie BOWTELL has split the Redcar pair. Joe Thompson at the back is having a few bike issues, I think. He's pulled up, but as they go into the final lap, Alfie BOWTELL's going wide. Ben Trigger's trying the inside line. It's looking tricky out there again for them. But out in front, Connor Bailey's looked stylish since the tapes went up. Connor Bailey takes a win in heat number 8. It's a second in red for Alfie BOWTELL, a third in yellow for Ben Trigger. As mentioned, Joe Thompson did retire. The rain has set in, but Connor Bailey didn't let it affect him, and it is another heat advantage there for the Redcar Bears.
No, it was a great ride there from Connor, not Josh, definitely from Connor. You know, he's obviously made some changes. His last 2 rides have been a drastic change and for the better for him. Again, considering the conditions of the rain coming down, he looked very comfortable. We'll just get the result in a minute.
Yeah, and a win in white for Connor Bailey. Second in red is Alfie BOWTELL. A third in yellow there was Ben Trigger. And a fourth in blue. Joe Thompson didn't complete. We are going to see a bit of track work, I think, which is probably advised. But I can tell you, and this isn't me trying to be ever the optimist, I've just looked out of our studio and over to the right, where I said it had set in over the A38. Just see a little bit of lighter cloud coming in now over the trees. Riders just having a good bit of banter there on the pit gate. Alfie BOWTELL and Connor Bailey. Good to see spirits are high in tricky conditions. It's very easy for the riders to get carried away in these conditions, but as I say, we must stress our gratitude to them for putting on a show tonight, because they really are working hard to keep the show on the road. And we have just heard that Ben Barker is out of tonight's meeting. Ben has withdrawn on medical grounds. Me and Mattie on commentary did say he didn't look particularly comfortable there after that fall earlier on, where he acquainted himself with the boards on the back straight. Thankfully, I didn't commentate to curse him like I did on Saturday with that. But we send our best wishes to Ben Barker as we hand to Mattie in the pits.
So as we venture back down to pit lane, we can see the Redcar Bears, who at the moment have established a 4-point lead over the Gladiators. Track conditions becoming easier, but the weather conditions becoming a little bit more tricky at the moment with this heavy drizzle, should I say, coming down at the moment. You see there Jason Edwards had a very good ride there with teammate Dan Gilkes, obviously both former Plymouth Gladiators, so do have a vast experience around this track. Connor Bailey there just had a fantastic heat number 8 win. His last 2 rides have really been something to brag about. He looked very comfortable, very established. See Ben Trigger, Ben's having a very good night. He's had a second to win, and he did have an exclusion, unfortunately, but you know, he's definitely putting on a good performance against his former club and his hometown club, so he'll definitely want to continue that throughout the season. We venture around, we can see there's a few little changes going on. As we go down into the Gladiators pits, we have received word that Ben Barker has unfortunately withdrawn from the meeting due to a little tweak and injury he sustained after that crash in heat number 4. You can see there Alfie BOWTELL. Good meeting for Alfie so far. Third, 2 wins and a second in that last one. Very smart riding that last one, riding out on the boards, which fresh bit of material, but he was making those long straights and generating his speed that way. You know, every time sort of Ben Trigger had a little nibble up the inside, Alfie was gone in the distance as soon as the wheels were in line. See Andrew Silver there, son of Len Silver, of course, Alfie's spanner man tonight. Looks like they're dropping a T42 on the back. You know, there'll be, with the track as it is at the minute and the rain, there'll be constant changes throughout every rider coming in from the pits tonight, I'd imagine. As we venture back up pit lane, we can see Troy Batchelor there. Troy's having a good night, 2 seconds, very good paid win with Alfie BOWTELL in his last race. Done a very good job of team riding him and shepherding him in that race, which is good to see, because obviously Troy's not a gladiator, so you know, for him to come in and sort of show that commitment, it's fantastic. Got a very knowledgeable mechanic with him tonight, Neil Howlett. He's 24-year veteran. He's done the GP circuits, spent some time in Denmark, mechanicking for Kenneth Bier. Very, very wise man to have in the pits with you. Usually mechanics for Dan Thompson, but obviously no Dan tonight due to COVID, but seems to be doing a good job for Troy. See Joe Thompson there, just dusting himself down a bit. You can see Joe's back wheel, actually, how caked it is in the dirt. As I was saying, the material that's on this track really is sticky when there's sort of moisture in the areas like this. Does say again, at the risk of repeating myself, it does really weigh the bikes down when you're behind. And, you know, I don't know if you can see the bottom of sort of Dan's race suit where he's brushed it off. You can see it's very heavy shell. So he's going to be feeling a little bit heavier than normal, which it can affect your riding. It takes you a while to adjust to that. I see Jacob Hook there. He's having a good night. Consistent, riding well, nice and smooth. Tricky conditions, of course, as we spoke to Jacob earlier. But you know, we're coming into that British summertime, so it's of course it's raining. But no, the Gladiators are obviously now all going to want to fight back, especially with not having Ben Barker for the rest of the meeting. But they're more than capable. You know, I think you can see there's probably a lot more bike changes going on in the Gladiators pits opposed to the Bears pits, but to some degree it's more of a disadvantage to the home team when the track's like this, because you know they're used to it a little bit slicker or a little bit different. But you know, it'll be what it'll be. It's a great meeting, all things considered, at the moment, and hopefully this sun that is following the drizzle stays for a bit longer than 10 minutes, and we can go racing again, and it's a good outcome for the rest of the meeting. I'll pass you back up to Joe in comms, and I'll join you again shortly.
Cheers, Matty. Yeah, you won't believe it at home, but we got the sun out and there's still a little bit of rain falling. So we're getting 4 seasons in one this evening. Here at the Coliseum, a lot of track work going on. Just try and move some of this dirt around, just to try and make it a safe, fair surface for everybody. As mentioned, we do send our best wishes to Ben Barker, who is now out of the meeting on medical grounds after that fall earlier on. Mattie's rejoined me up on comms. Mattie, I was just saying we got 4 seasons in one now because the sun's out and we still had a little bit of rain falling.
With the slight chance of snow, I'm sure.
Yeah, let's not tempt fate, because it probably will happen in the West Country with the way the weather's been recently. But the riders are going back in to get themselves set for heat number 9. We got all sorts of changes here in heat number 9. We got Joe Thompson taking the rider replacement ride for Dan Thompson. Kyle Newman is the only one who will be as per your programme, as Gavin PARR is going to have a little team huddle with his team 4 points up. I'm not sure this is him huddling in to keep warm. I think this is a rally cry. Come on, boys, we're in a great position here. This is a tough place to come and win. Let's continue this job. I can't believe I'm talking to you now with blue sky in front of me in the studio and the sun's out. This is absolutely, and it is raining as well. It's ludicrous, but
it's like a trip to Buxton, this one. all seasons in one.
It certainly is, but the track work still hasn't finished, and just out in front of us we can just see off, you might be able to see it now as Mark goes around, just how much dirt has come off the surface here at the Coliseum. It's this weather really has caught everybody out.
Yeah, as you said there about the material that Mark's pulled onto the infield, like as I was saying when I was walking down through the pit lane, when that stuff sticks to the bikes and it sticks to the tyres like it is, it's you know, in the race suits, it really, really can change the way you ride the bike, the way the bike feels. It can really off-balance the bike. So, you know, as I said, it's probably more of a disadvantage to the Gladiators at this point, because it's not what they are used to. It's probably not what they thought they were going to turn up to. No, you know, through no fault of the track staff, they've done the best job they can. You know, the weather, as we've seen, we've had rain, we've had lovely sunshine. I've seen people putting raincoats on, and then next minute they're in their t-shirts again. So it's, you know, it's a bit unpredictable, but you know, now at this point with that track grade, I would imagine the track could settle down a lot more. Hopefully the rain will stay away and won't make it a bit too greasy to ride, really. Yeah, and let's stress our thanks to the riders for, you know, they're giving it everything they've got in really tricky, trappy conditions this evening. They deserve an immense amount of credit for that. It'd be quite easy for them to start complaining about conditions. But all riders here tonight are giving it everything they've got. Some, like Ben Barker, maybe given a little bit too much and has found himself withdrawn from the meeting. Obviously, that unfortunate incident in heat number 4, and he never did look comfortable in heat number 7 from the moment he was out on the track. A very muddy looking Joe Thompson. Yeah. It's the worst thing is when because you don't see a lot of riders anymore wearing those under face masks like they used to back in the day, but Chris Harris is one who still does, isn't he? Yeah, I think. Old school. You know, it's they're pretty good things, especially when the track's like this, because when that harder material and, you know, lumpier material hits you, it really doesn't feel nice. Certainly doesn't, and Bomber is gold dust wherever he goes, but he certainly knows his way around the Coliseum on his few visits around here, and he'll be back down here much later in the season
with the Glasgow Tigers, as we see two Aussies in conversation. Jacob Hook trying to pick the brains of a man who's won pretty much all there is to win in Australia, Troy Batchelor. As we take a look at the gate stats so far this evening, absolutely nothing off gate number 1. One solitary win off gate 2. That was the Golden Highway on Saturday night. Just 5 points from gate number 2. Gate number 3 is the place to be. 5 wins, 17 points. Gate 4 with 2 wins and 13 points. Interesting that gate 1 hasn't yielded a win, but still yielding plenty of the points. We're just having a bit of a delay as we hear that we're just waiting for the paramedics to get set again. They have been dealing with Ben Barker as we look at the rider scores so far. Troy Batchelor with 2 seconds to his name, 4 with a bonus. Alfie BOWTELL, really good night for him. 9 paid 10. I suspect Alfie's in for a couple more rides yet. Carl Newman with 2 third places and 2 points. Ben Barker, as mentioned, is out. Joe Thompson with that win and 2 last places, 3 points. Jacob Hook with 4 from 3. Over to the Redcar Bears, Charles Wright is on a maximum around the Coliseum, 6 from 2. Connor Bailey with 5 paid 6. Dan Gilkes with 2 paid 3. Jason Edwards with 6 points from his 3 rides so far. Ben Trigger with an impressive 6 points from 4 rides with 1 exclusion. And Jake Mulford with a point at the back. Yet to see young Devon rider Kai Ward, who is at number 8 for the Bears this evening.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine the likelihood of Kai probably getting a ride at this point is pretty sort of, I mean, again, we said how heavy the shell is. You can really see it stuck on the forks and damper there. It's heavy stuff.
Yeah, I don't fancy cleaning that. I'll be honest. You'd struggle to get me to clean a dish after I've had some ice cream, let alone a bike after it's been out on this track this evening. But
I'll tell you what, the day after, when it's gone all hard and you get the jet wash, it's very therapeutic.
I'm sure it is, especially if you have a not so great night. I'd imagine it's good for cleansing the mind. But we saw that shot earlier of Jacob Hook and Troy Batchelor in conversation. We see Dan Gilkes cleaning off some of his apparatus.
Yeah, so what we'll be doing now is that's the clutch cover. So obviously very low to the ground. You don't want that collecting a lot of dirt. So you'd probably take that off, after each race as it is at the moment, just to make sure there's no bits of grit getting in between his clutch plates or in his chain or anything like that.
You see Connor Bailey in good spirits. Obviously got a good ride in his last one, taking the win in heat number 8. Smiling away, the young Aussie.
Yeah, he's really turned his night around from that first initial
Certainly
race.
Has.
I don't know what changes he's made.
He didn't look particularly comfortable in heat 1, and I don't blame him. That rain had caught everybody out, and it was always tricky. And even Charles Wright didn't look particularly comfortable, but still got the job done. As we prepare then, as Jake Mulford getting ready to come out in the next heat. You can still see Jacob Hook picking the brains of Troy Batchelor in the distance. Garry May looking over what's left of his troops. You've got to feel for Garry and Mark Phillips at the moment. It really is another trying season for them.
It just seems to be the gift that keeps on giving in the worst way possible, isn't it? It's just as you get over one hurdle, you're immediately sort of slapped in the face with another one. But they are the Gladiators. They're made of stern stuff. At this point, we can only hope that it's not a serious thing with Bennett. It's just he's bumped himself a bit too hard for tonight, and they'll carry that momentum and that morale they have, and that will sort of keep them going.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Jacob Hook still in conversation, I think we saw from that last shot with Troy Batchelor. As mentioned, Troy's won pretty much everything there is to win. An Australian champion, a 6-time South Australian champion. He's the 3rd person to hold such numbers, as we see our brave cameraman Rob braving all conditions this evening. He's a braver man than me.
He told me earlier it's raining today because he put his washing out on the line. So usually when he puts his washing out, it rains.
I also offered him my coat. As you can see, we're underneath Rob in the truck this evening. He didn't want it, so he is a braver man than me. As you come into the commentary box, we'll give you a little wave at home. We are wrapped up. Andy, the producer, in behind us, directing the show this evening, and he's doing a very sterling job of it, as well as that sun's disappeared, which is a bit concerning. Mattie's in good spirits.
Oh, I'm always in good spirits when I'm at Speedway. I
spent 10 minutes doing my hair before we came out tonight, thinking I'd be doing a lovely piece to camera, and the rain's put pay to that.
Oh, same. I'd wash my hair and everything.
For those of you who know Mattie will know that's not strictly true. As we're still waiting for the paramedics to get into position, and obviously, the only thing that matters at the moment is Ben Barker's fitness and well-being. So as long as it takes them is as long as they need.
You know, obviously this being a championship fixture, it's obviously crucial to get.
It's vital with this aggregate point.
Of course it is.
Place,
you know, and Redcar isn't an easy place itself to go to. You know, it's kind of similar to here, but not too similar.
Let's take a look at a race video while we wait for the paramedics. 14, the penultimate heat of the evening, and off the inside in blue is Joe Thompson. In white, off gate 2 is Tom Brennan. Gate number 3 in red is Jason Garrod, and in yellow, off the outside, we have Tobias Thompson. As mentioned, the Gladiators in action on Tuesday night against the Redcar Bears here at the Coliseum. On Wednesday night, the Poole Pirates are back in action against the Redcar Bears at Wimborne Road. So Redcar on a Sutton tour, but here we go, heat 14, green light is on. Tapes up and away we go, and off the inside.
Oh, look at that.
It's a brilliant gate from Joe Thompson, and Jason Garrett's going around the outside. Jason Garrett slots into second place, but now he's under pressure from Tom Brennan, and Jason Garrett gets out of shape, but he holds it in third, and this is a vital 4-2 in context of the fixture.
If he can hold it there, that, oh my lord,
That's that was exciting stuff.
Tobias got out of shape a little bit there, and almost collected Jason Garrett. So that was really unlucky for Jason, but now Joe's got to be careful because Tom Brennan's coming on strong out in second place here. Joe needs eyes in the back of his head as Jason Garrett pulls over the back. 1 lap to go. It looks like a 3-3 for now. Joe Thompson then from Tom Brennan, and at the back Tobias Thompson. But as he comes through to take the checkered flag, it's a heat win in potentially his final ride of the night for Joe Thompson. Stylish out in front. Tom Brennan back in second place. Tobias Thompson grabs third. Jason Garrett retiring at the back, but he was so unlucky after making a hell of a start. Here is the result then of Heat 14. Another eventful action-packed heat of the evening. Joe Thompson takes the win in blue. White is Tom Brennan grabbing second. Third place for Tobias Thompson in yellow. Fourth for Jason Garrett. Here we go then. Riders are finally back out on track. A little shot there of the Bar Bandits there over on band number 2 as we make our way back into the pit lane via our roving camera. And the riders are on track then for heat number 9. We were just talking off camera there as you took in an action heat 14 from Saturday night that you have to feel for Mark Phillips and Garry May at the moment. If they had any luck at all, it would only be bad with Ben Barker being out. Fingers crossed he is back in action soon for the Gladiators. A week until the Gladiators are next back in action. So Ben's got a bit of time to get over whatever injury it is he's picked up this evening. But the lineup for heat number 9 then off the inside in white is Charles Wright. Gate number 2 in blue is Carl Newman. Gate number 3 in yellow is Jake Mulford. And gate number 4 in red is Joe Thompson off the outside in red. A very frustrated looking Garry May on the end of the viewing podium at the moment. Looks like a man who's really trying his best to get whatever success he can out of this group, but it's Lady Luck is not on his side at the moment. Here's hoping that Joe and Kyle can turn things around tonight here in a hugely important heat number 9. The Redcar Bears holding a 4-point lead. Gladiators won't want them to get too much further in front, otherwise the task will get a lot harder with that aggregate point on the line. But they're in line then for heat number 9. Green lights on, the tapes are up, and away we go. Joe Thompson's made a nice start off gate number 4, but Charles Wright it is who cuts across and takes the lead in white. It's Charles Wright who shows the way. At the back you can see Joe Thompson trying to put pressure on Jake Mulford, but Charles Wright, as has been his one all night, is showing them how to do it out in front, Mattie.
Yeah, again another very dominant ride there from Charles. A very good first corner from Kyle. He made a very good start, good jump. Just really need Joe now to capitalise on Jake. You can see Jake is backing off quite a lot coming into the corner, so Joe's really going to need to find a line that won't involve him following him in. But no, we really need a 3-3 out of this one, worst case.
Yeah, we certainly could do with Joe Thompson finding some extra pace as Charles Wright heads off down the back straight. 2 races for the price of 1 once again. But out in front, this is imperious, this is stylish, this is absolutely superb from the former British champion Charles Wright, who takes the win in heat number 9. He's got it on rails at the moment, Charles, and he is looking fantastic. He takes the win. It is another heat advantage for the visiting Redcar Bears. They now move to a 6-point lead as we approach heat number 10. Charles Wright takes the applause from the home crowd, who can appreciate a good performance in the bike, and Charles is looking fantastic so far and does take yet another win. He is 3 from 3 here tonight, 9 points out of a possible 9 as we take the result for heat number 9. And a win in white for Charles Wright. Second in blue was Kyle Newman, and a vital 3rd place for Jake Mulford, collecting another point. Joe Thompson at the back. 4-2 to the Redcar Bears, 24 to the Gladiators, 30 to the Redcar Bears as we approach heat number 10.
You know, that race is sort of it shows the vitality of what the reserves can do. You know, the reserves sort of made or break that race. Then, you know, need a little bit more from them. You know, I can appreciate it. The track is a little bit different to they used to, but you know, I think now with Redcar now starting to sort of get the setup right and get the lines right, it's time to put on our big boy pants and really go for it now, I think.
It wasn't a bad gate from Joe Thompson, but Jake Mulford had the bike in the perfect position, as you saw on the replay there. And very quickly, Chris DURNO not hanging around now. Whilst we have a patch of dry weather, he wants to crack on with the meeting, and Alfie BOWTELL is out for ride number 5 of the evening. He's a busy boy, Alfie. I do wonder whether he might be out a little bit later on as well. But off the inside in yellow is Jason Edwards. Gate number 2 in blue is Alfie BOWTELL. Already 9 paid 10 for Alfie. A great night for him. Gate number 3 in white is Dan Gilkes. He'll be looking to improve on his night so far. And Batch will come off gate number 4 in red. 4 paid 5. The Gladiators fans will be right behind Batch here. A huge, huge moment coming up in this clash. Gavin PARR on the infield for heat number 10. Wants to get in the thick of it. He's going to be scrutinising this start line.
Yeah, he'll want to keep a very close eye on who's doing what now. Obviously, with them having a 6-point lead, he'll want to keep that rolling. You can see Troy doing a fair bit of gardening there, packing in the dirt quite tight. Same with Alfie. You can see he's found a nice.
It's that one line again off gate 4, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
right
same,
up against the fence.
Same line as Saturday night. Try to get that slingshot into the corner.
That's the only disadvantage of having such short straights. You literally are right on that sort of turning line for the corner, right on the start line.
We're going to take Gavin PARR's view of heat number 10 as he gets down and close to the ground. Alfie BOWTELL, the last one into line. Start marshal moves out of the way, and away they go. It's a fair start. Troy Batchelor is going to come across on the outside. That's more like it from Batch. Here's Jason Edwards up the inside though, but Batch slams the door shut. Now Alfie BOWTELL, can he wind it on in 3rd and try and get past Jason Edwards? This is vitally important for the Gladiators, so they get a hit advantage. But this is much more like it from Batch out front. BOWTELL's trying on Jason Edwards.
Great ride from Troy out in front. Looks, you know, very dominating, very smooth, very stylish. But all the focus right now is on what Alfie can do against Jason Edwards. Alfie again looking very quick. You see Dan having a few little nibbles there, but Alfie is on that correct racing line. And no, we desperately need to score 2 right now.
Troy's having a good long look over his shoulders, but right now the only advice to give to Troy is keep your head down and keep going, pal, because you are doing a sterling job out in front. And as long as Alfie BOWTELL can hold off Dan Gilkes into bends 3 and 4, he'll have done his job. Troy Batchelor, that looks smart from Batch. It's a heat advantage to the Gladiators. It's a much needed heat advantage to the Gladiators. Troy Batchelor looking stylish out in front. He takes the win in heat number 10, and that just stops the slide. 3 heat advantages in a row there for the Redcar Bears, but Batch with a heat advantage there. A really good ride. And it just shows just how professional Troy Batchelor is, constantly looking over his shoulder there all the way through the heat. Find out where Alfie BOWTELL was, but it wasn't to be for a 5-1. But a 4-2 will do. Troy Batchelor takes the win in red. 2nd in yellow is Jason Edwards. A good night for Jason so far. 3rd place in blue is Alfie BOWTELL. Another point scoring for him. And Dan Gilkes just finding it a little bit difficult here in white in heat number 10.
You can see there the gates. So look at gate 1 and gate 2. There's still a lot of material. Like you can see where they've been packing it into the ruts there. Still a nice bit of fresh stuff there. You can see the tyre tracks where the bikes have been sort of rolling back and forth over it. But the ruts do look fairly straight. With conditions like this, they can sort of snake, and the last thing you want to do is pick a rut that is not too straight and you run into another one. But no, that was a more encouraging ride then from the Gladiators for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna see Batch come across here. Gavin PARR scrutinising, making sure there's absolutely no twitching at the start line. Of course, we are just going to have a rider replacement ride now for Ben Barker in Heat 11. So I think it's going to be Alfie BOWTELL. So we're going to have a bit of a pause. Jason Edwards tried to get at the inside of Troy Batchelor there. Troy did a very good job going into bend 3 of just keeping that door shut on Jason Edwards. This is what I mean. You just saw Batch there have a look. He just wanted to see who it was behind him. Alfie there couldn't quite generate the speed. And you'll see it again here. Guest rider Troy Batchelor having a look, find out where his teammate was. But a 4-2 will do.
Yeah, that'll do us nicely. It's just made that distance a little less now. I say the starts look really nice from the camera angle we've got here. There's a nice bunch of material on it. It looks fairly compact and consistent. It's going to be an important end to the meeting now. These next sort of 4 or 5 heats are going to be quite. You can see the slick line there. Like right as I was saying on gate 4, you can see like they just passed that as the turning line. So that's why it's a lot slicker there. So you see a lot of them going opting to go right out. I mean, that is a pretty nice straight right. That's pretty as straight as it gets in Speedway right there.
It certainly is. Whoever's done that can be very proud of their job.
You don't want it too deep, but you don't want it too shallow. You want a little bit there just so the edges of the tyre can bite a little bit. But says the guy that could never make a gate in his life.
I'm pretty sure you can make a gate better than I could. I have absolutely no interest in getting on one of these bikes, although I could raise a good bit of money for charity. Is that what you're talking about on gate 1 there on the inside? That's perhaps a little bit too deep.
Yeah, so I mean that's sort of borderline now, I would say. You could still probably make a good jump out of that. What you would see riders do in these deeper ruts is they would pack the back of it up and then they would tamper that down. So when the green light goes on, they would very sneakily pull the bike over that. So when they drop the clutch, it would almost run in and give you a jet-propelled start.
I can't remember who it was back in the old Devils days, used to rev their bike as loud as they could on the start line just to sort of build up a bit of dirt at the back of their start gate. I want to say Ryan Fisher, but I wouldn't be too Flying Ryan, the Flying Fish, but I wouldn't be too sure about it. As we see the Trigger family slumped over the fence there, taking in the evening's entertainment as the sun comes out again. A lesser spotted appearance.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather that than the mist that was coming out just a minute ago. But no, the track's looking pretty good now. It's the riders seem to be having a lot more comfort out there, and it's looking good. I think those track grades that Mark and the track team have done have credited the track, and let's go racing.
Let's take a race video as we wait for Alfie BOWTELL to have a pause. And off the inside in white, we have Tobias Thompson dropping down to reserve for the first time. In red is Joe Thompson. In gate 3 in yellow is Max Perry, and off gate number 4 in blue is Jacob Hook. Of course, as mentioned, Tobias Thompson just at reserve this evening. And here we go then. Just a few little adjustments to Joe Thompson's starting position. Green lights on for heat number 2, and away we go. The tapes rise, and Joe Thompson gets across and takes the lead pretty comfortably. Tobias Thompson was going to try and go up the inside, but Joe shuts the door. Going into bends 3 and 4, Max Perry is slotted into 3rd, and Jacob Hook towards the back, but just what the doctor ordered for Joe Thompson out front, Mattie.
Seems to be a bit of a cushion as you enter 1. You can see Joe just hit it then and give him a bit more drive, but again, that was a bit of a messy first corner. Obviously, Jacob got caught up in traffic there. You can see he's got the pace over Max. Looks like he's just coming through now, but still, Max, to his credit, is keeping him held.
Getting very tight there between Jacob Hook and Max Perry as they head into ends 3 and 4. Max locks up, and Jacob's going to go high and wide. Can he make the move stick? Here we go then. Coming up to the tapes M4 heat number 11. And your rider lineup when he gets there in red will be Alfie BOWTELL taking the royal replacement for Ben Barker. Off the inside, gate number 2 in white is Charles Wright looking to continue that maximum. Gate number 3 in blue is Joe Thompson. And off the outside in yellow will be Connor Bailey. So Alfie BOWTELL 10, ped 11, Charles Wright on 9. Good evening. We have a drone up above us this evening, trying to get a better view of the racing.
I would take a safe bet to say that is either our track photographer down Westlake or possibly Jerry Sims of Blue Monkey Media, who's very active on the GP circuit.
Excellent. Well, if it gives us a different perspective on the racing, then we're certainly not going to find any of us here in Plymouth complaining. As the riders come up to line, I'm going to wager that Alfie BOWTELL will be the last one to be set, as is his wont. There he is. They're in line. Heat number 11. Tapes up and away we go, and Charles Wright's made another good one. and it is Charles Wright off gate number 2, as he has done all night, is absolutely dynamite off the start line, and he heads off to complete the end of lap 1. Now the two Gladiator boys need to be careful here that Connor Bailey has got speed in 4th and doesn't try to get past them, but Charles Wright is out in front and is looking super cool.
Yeah, he really seems to have it dialed in tonight. You know, initially, you know, didn't look like he was having the most comfortable ride to start with, but now he looks very established. He's got that bike geared perfectly, and yeah, you know, I think it's going to take something special to beat Charles tonight.
Certainly is. He only has 226 metres left to go here in heat number 11, and he is looking stylish. Alfie BOWTELL in 2nd place, having a really good night is Alfie. I don't think his night's done just yet, but as they head into the final bend, it is Charles Wright will take the win. Credit to Connor Bailey, who hasn't given up trying to get past Joe Thompson, but it isn't to be in this one. It's a stalemate 3-all. That continues just to arrest the slide for the Gladiators. The Redcar Bears can't get away from them there in heat number 11. It is a 3-all, but it does maintain the 4-point lead that the Redcar Bears have, and Charles Wright getting a good warm round of applause. As I say, the Plymouth crowd pretty receptive to good performances on the bike, and we're certainly seeing that here from Charles Wright this evening. A 3-all as Charles continues on his way. Charles Wright takes the win in white. 2nd in red is Alfie BOWTELL. 3rd in blue is Joe Thompson, and a 4th in yellow for Connor Bailey. 35 to the Redcar Bears, 31 to the Plymouth Gladiators. A 3-all in heat 11.
That was a fantastic ride from Charles. As you say, you know, you can really see that experience of his vast knowledge of Premiership and even World Cup racing. It's just looks very good out there. You know, very stylish, very smooth. He's got that bike set up perfectly. But you know, Alfie BOWTELL charging hard in 2nd place there. You know, one program ride Alfie's got left available. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see him and maybe Troy Batchelor out in heat 15. They seem to be quite a successful pairing tonight for the Gladiators. But as we move now on to heat number 12, it's really crunch time with only four points between the two teams. So it's, you know, it's all to play for now. Obviously, Redcar aren't going to want to lose this lead. The Gladiators are obviously chasing this lead, but it's going to be an interesting one because we've got former Gladiators up against current Gladiators. So there's a lot of track knowledge, maybe more so in the Redcar favour here with Dan and Ben Trigger having multiple seasons here at National League and Championship level. But, as we look at the official lineup for tonight, we can see Carl Newman for the Gladiators coming off gate number 1 with 4 points to his name so far. In gate number 2 in yellow is local Ben Trigger with 6 points. Good night for Ben. Unlucky not to score a few more in honesty. Gate number 3 in blue is Jacob Hook. It's had a steady night, but he's going to want to push on here. And gate number 4 is the Redcar's new rider, Dan Gilkes, former Gladiator himself. A little bit of an inconsistent night for Dan. He's looked quick, but just not found the speed at the right time he needed with 2 + 1 points. But as we say, we go forward. The Redcar Bears go into this heat 35 to 31. You can see Dan there just turning back now. He's probably getting maybe demisting the goggles a bit, or maybe just a pre-ritual thing he does. But it's going to be very interesting. As I was saying, it is crunch time now for the Gladiators. They really can't afford to get too many more free frees. They need to really get some heat advantages on. And as Bjarne Pedersen would say back when he was riding, he really doesn't like going into these last heat deciders. So if we could break away now, that'd be good. Carl showed a lot of promise in his last race, made a good start. He's off the more favoured gate 1 now, opposed to gate 2. So yeah, here we go. So riders are under starters' orders. And we can see it's a good even breakaway there. Ben Trigger and made a good start there. Carl Newman got out of shape, done very, very well to hold that. Bit of a twirly-whirly there when he lifted, but Dan Gilkes taking the lead in this one. I think Dan will be quite a hard rider to pass now. When he's in front, he establishes that good racing line. He's got that classic Peter Carson sort of style. Carl Newman aggressively lifting again there. Ben Trigger following in 3rd with Jacob Hook hot on his tail. But Kyle, I would suggest he's maybe made some bike changes with the way the bike is reacting, because obviously there's a little less grip on the track as there was in previous heats. But all eyes at the moment on Dan Gilkes, looking absolutely fantastic in front, riding that wide line down the straights, turning in a little bit later. You can see he's not right out on the boards, but he's riding that nice wide line, making those long straights, especially on the back straight. And as we go over to the checkered flag, it's Dan Gilkes in white, followed by Carl Newman in red. That was a good ride there from Dan. It was a pretty close first corner. It was an even breakaway from all 4 riders. It looked like start with the Redcar Bears would have the advantage again going into the bend, but Carl Newman just managed to sneak his way past Ben Trigger. So as we look at the official race result, we can see it was Dan Gilkes there in white that took the race lead in that one, with Carl Newman in blue. Ben Trigger in white, and Jacob Hook followed in last place in yellow, in blue, sorry. So you can see there, Tyler Govia giving Dan's chain a little spray. He'll keep that nice and cool. So as we look now, the official race result. So a win for Dan Gilkes in white, followed by second place Carl Newman in red, with Ben Trigger in third, and in fourth was Jacob Hook for the Gladiators. Not what we really needed, a 4-2 against us. That now puts the scores back to a 6-point deficit. But all to play for still in these remaining 3 heats. It is, as I was saying, at the risk of repeating myself, it is really crunch time now for the Gladiators. Obviously, down with Ben Barker. He's withdrawn from the meeting, sadly. So we're, really going to have to dig deep now if we're going to want to get a result after this. As Joe was saying earlier, if we didn't have any luck, if we didn't have bad luck, we wouldn't have any at all. But no, that was that was a pretty good ride, as we see there in the replay. Pretty good start. It looked like Kyle was going to get a good one there. Maybe Ben got in the way slightly. I'm not too sure. It was a pretty even breakaway, but obviously getting that bit of drive coming out of turn 2 didn't help his cause. And Dan had his wheels in line, and he was gone, and he wasn't really sort of touched at all for the rest. And you see Kyle lifts there again aggressively. Be interesting to know if it is bike changes or if it is just another a line he's riding. But no, Dan looked very established there. Very much like the Dan Gilkes of last season. Looked like he was out there having fun on his bike. Very smooth ride from Dan. You can see there's a little bit of dust coming up now, which I didn't honestly think we'd see tonight, given the amount of rain we had before the meeting and the showers we've had throughout the meeting. But no, track's looking very nice now. The remaining 3 heats should produce some pretty good racing. Like I say, Dan Gilkes taking the win there in that last heat number 12. It was a great ride by Dan. We can see it. We're just venturing into the Gladiators pits now. You can see Garry May following on with his riders. Looks like Carl Newman has a carburetor off, so might be a fuel issue possibly. Might be changing carbs completely. Obviously, there's a few different types of carbs and makes of carbs in speedway bikes. You've got Blitz, you've got Finn Jensens and all that, and all of them work a little bit different. Obviously, with the engines and all the different cams and stuff you get within the engines now, it's trying to find that perfect balance and ratios of different carbs, engines, clutch plates, etc. But there's obviously some work going on there. It might even have been the clutch was flooding. The floats may have been sticking or something like that. Hard to tell. You can see Connor Bailey there. Talking to some guy, maybe a mechanic, maybe he's not, I'm not sure, but he's having a good chat, all smiles. He's had a fairly average, a fairly steady night for Connor. He started off with a last, and then obviously got a win and a paid win, a last in his last race. But it was a very good ride, considering he come last. He was on the pace, just not in the right place at the right time. But this is a very positive thing now for the Redcar Bears. Obviously, having such a slow start to the season with Danny King, of course, being injured at Workington, and it's obviously a few team changes with Jonas going out and Dan Gilkes coming in. See Alfie BOWTELL there. Looks like he's also doing some carb work. Yeah, so that would be jet. So he'll be changing the jet in his carb. That will allow more fuel through or less fuel through, all depending on So I guess it kind of works a bit like a fuel injection. So he'll be taking that off, changing that. So he's I would suggest Alfie making changes like that. We're probably going to see Alfie BOWTELL again tonight, which is good. He's been very good meeting from Alfie. I say really without him and Troy we would have really struggled tonight. But see the gate stats now. So we've got 1 win off gate number 1, but 22 points scored from it. Most points coming from the gate that hasn't won the most races. You can see gate 2 there, 12 points from 2 race wins. Gate 3 had the most race wins, but only 19 points, and 19 points the same as gate number 4 with 4 race wins. So it's still fairly even. Obviously some gates are working in favour a little bit more than others, but it's fairly even break across the board. As we look at the scores now, you can see Troy Batchelor there, 7-1 from 3 rides so far. Alfie BOWTELL 12-1, very impressive from 6 rides so far. Obviously no rider at number 3. Number 4, Carl Newman, a much better end to the meeting so far, but 6 points. Ben Barker, obviously, we know was ruled out of the meeting after a second ride. Joe Thompson, not Joe's best performance, probably by his own admission, 4+1 from 5 rides so far. Jacob Hooks started fairly steady. You know, it is hard, obviously. You know, he's still sort of trying to make a name for himself in British Speedway and establish the experience on all the tracks. As we move to the Redcar Bears now, we can see fabulous night from Charles Wright, 12 points from 4 rides, unbeaten, and he's looked a class above the rest tonight so far. Connor Bailey there, 5+1 from 4 rides. Same with Dan Gilkes, 5+1 from 4 rides. Jason Edwards has been a very good rider to have tonight, 8 points from 4 rides so far. Obviously no Danny King tonight, rider replacement for him. Ben Trigger, 7 points from 5 rides, obviously that is including that exclusion. And Jake Mulford, 2 points from 3 rides. So as we can see, we'll get back into the Gladiators pits now. You can see there's still some changes going on. Carl Newman's obviously made some changes to his carb, change of carb. Alfie BOWTELL's made some carb adjustments. As we look over the red car, you see a little bit of work going on there with Dan Gilkes' bike. Looks like they maybe have either dropped a tooth. The way you see Tyler's working on that back wheel, maybe they've just shortened the bike up a little bit. See there, Jake Mulford, Connor Bailey having a little chit chat, all very relaxed there. They kind of got obviously the meeting in control to a degree at the moment. It's still all to play for. Only takes one heat at Speedway with a point advantage against you that can really shape the meeting. You see Ben Trigger there, obviously enjoying just driving 5 minutes up the road and scoring a very good amount of points tonight. You see Gavin PARR there just joining in his team. He'll really want to be G'ing his boys up now. Very cool, collected Dan Gilkes there. Lovely new merchandise on the hat as well. Dan's enjoyed his season so far at Sheffield and also riding for a couple teams in Poland, one in the 3rd division and one in the under-24 league. So more rides for him obviously now for Redcar, which is never a bad thing. You see there, yeah, it looks like they're making a sprocket change. So I'd imagine he's gone down 1 tooth or 2 teeth possibly. Some riders opt to go down 1 tooth at a time or some 2. But for now, I'm just going to pass you over to Andy.
Okay, thanks very much, Mattie. We've had a little bit of a change here tonight. Our commentator Joe Bow has gone on to the centre green to entertain the crowd, so I've just grabbed a rare opportunity to come down and join the camera here in the pits. We're just going to take a look here and see how we go. And as we see, we've got Mark Phillips there with Alfie. Lots of work going on. We've got nice close-ups of the bike there. We know that the Gladiators are 6 points down. They're not going to be happy with that. As we come away and have a look into the pits of the Redcar Bears, they are going to be very, very buoyant. In fact, I'm going to see if I can grab a very quick word with Gavin PARR here. Hi, Gavin. Just a quick word, we're on the live stream here tonight. You've got to be happy. 39-33 so far. You're up. You've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, happy so far, but do you know what I mean? It's not over yet. Not over till the fat lady sings. So, yeah, well, we're just going to dig in and see what we can get to the end. But so far, so good, yeah.
Charles Wright, I mean, so far, my God, isn't he flying out there?
Not bad for somebody who went, I don't like the look of that place, do you know what I mean? But yeah, Charles is Charles. He'll attack every track, and I think that's what that needed today, was attacking. I think when they were rolling off, they were making it more difficult for themselves, where Charles just rode through it, and yeah, he's been fantastic so far. But as I say, we're not there yet. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah. Okay, have a good night. Carry that on. They're looking great over there. Okay, now that the bike is closed down here, let's just have a little look into the pits here in the Gladiators. Carl Newman, of course, slightly struggling a little bit tonight. He's been in amongst it. We saw that last ride when he was raising up a couple of times there. He was pulling some wheelies on the back straight. We're going to very quickly grab Garry May on the live stream, and 6 points down, not quite where you want it to be at this point, but still some heats to go. We can pull this back.
Yeah, we can. It's 3 heats to go. We can still pull this back. I've still got a tack sub to use about, but losing Ben Barker sort of like killed me a little bit, because he would have got maybe 10 by now. But the track was a little bit heavy, and he took off, and hurt himself. So it's what we have to do, and we have to do.
Now, you may not be able to tell us, but if you can, how is Ben? That's what everyone at home is going to be asking.
I'm not sure, but he might have a possible broken rib.
Okay.
Sure, but he obviously can't ride anymore tonight, so see what happens.
All right, we'll leave you to it. We know you're busy. Okay, we're going to head back to the stream.
So we're back. Thank you there for Andy for going down to the pits. As we can see, we're back in the Redcar pits. Track staff have been called back, so we'll proceed now with the rest of the meeting. Obviously, heat number 13, big crucial heat now. Obviously, usually the main guys are absent, Ben Barker and Danny King, obviously both not in this meeting at this moment. You see Charles Wright there in the white helmet colour getting ready to come out, just taking a near miss with Margaret, our pit marshal. Quick on her toes is Margaret. But no, it's all the play for now. There's 6 points in it. Big heats now needed from the Gladiators. Really big heats. We need at least some 2 heat advantages going into heat 15 just to make it that little bit easier on ourselves. Easier said than done, of course, but stranger things have happened in Speedway. So we can see there, we're just panning into the start line now. Charles Wright is the first one there. He's going off the gate number 1. It'd be interesting to see whereabouts he goes. There's a few different size ruts there. There's a little bit of fresh, but you can see he's choosing to go off number 1, packing it in well there with a steel shoe. Troy Batchelor at the tapes now in red, going off gate 2. He had a fantastic ride in his last one. Hopefully he can produce some of the same against the unbeaten Charles Wright in this one. Looks like we've got Dan Gilkes in yellow taking the rider replacement ride. He had a very good ride as well last time, so he'll want to carry on from that performance. So as we look at the official start line-up now for heat number 13, Charles Wright will go off white off gate 1. Off gate 2 in red is Troy Batchelor. Off gate 3 in yellow is Dan Gilkes. And off gate 4 in blue is Carl Newman. Carl's had we've just seen him make that carburetor change, violently lifting in his last one a couple times. So we'll see if that's calmed down a little bit. Ride better in his last 2, Carl. He got to grips with the track a bit more, found a bit more of an established setup with that. So hopefully he can produce the goods here. It's going to be tricky because every rider out here right now is had a good last ride, obviously, especially Charles Wright, who's remains unbeaten so far. But we shall see going into heat number 15 who will be the first turn 1. So as the tapes rise, you can see there, that's a great start from Troy Batchelor. Troy Batchelor has got across Charles Wright, but Charles Wright having a little nibble up there at the inside, but Troy back down the back straight. Right across Charles Wright. That's needed at the moment. You can see Carl Newman there coming up the rear. He's just past Dan Gilkes. Dan Gilkes has repaid the favour. 2 races going on in 1 at the moment. Carl Newman right back up again. This is great stuff for the Gladiators. Definitely needed at this point of the meeting. You see there, Troy Batchelor getting his wheels in line, looking nice and quick out in front. Charles Wright is applying the pressure a little bit, but Troy is establishing himself a bit of a lead now. Carl Newman, in fairness, is catching up with Charles a little bit, and he's pulled away a little bit from Dan Gilkes, which bodes well for the rest of the meeting. Going into the final lap now, Troy Batchelor's still in the lead. It's very close between all 4 of them, to be honest. None of them can afford to make a mistake at this point. But it looks like it's going to be a 4-2 to the Gladiators and a much-needed heat advantage with only 2 heats remaining. So we can see there, that was a fantastic ride from Troy Batchelor, the Australian, the former GP rider, showing his class above all in that race. Fantastic win, looked stylish, looked fast, looked like he knew what he was doing. It was a good ride in Charles Wright. Obviously, Charles is going to be a little bit gutted because that's just ruined his maximum, but that is Speedway, unfortunately. But as we move now into heat number 14, what can the Gladiators do? As we see the official race card from that one, we can see it was a first in red for Troy Batchelor, second in white for the Bears was Charles Wright, former British champion, of course. In third in blue was Carl Newman, the popular Dorset native, and in 4th in yellow was former Gladiator Dan Gilkes, currently now for the Redcar Bears. So, as we look forward, now it's 41-37, very, very close indeed with only 2 heats remaining. Obviously, the Gladiators are somewhat depleted with the absence of Ben Barker and, of course, running up rider replacement for Dan Thompson, who unfortunately has COVID. Obviously, the Bears are also running rider replacement for Danny King, who I said earlier was injured at Workington a couple of weeks ago when they faced the Comets up there at Northside. But it's all looking good. We need another heat like that to produce, it could go into heat 15, as Bjarne Pedersen would say, a last heat decider, which we are prone to down the Coliseum. It looks like I'm going to be joined now by Andy on comms.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for
we've
joining.
Got audio. Joe, our commentator, marks pull rank, and he's gone onto the centre green to entertain the crowd. So I grabbed the mic, we handed out, I went over into the pit. What I will say is that...
it did look very nice on the screen.
Yeah, thank you.
Very, very, very good.
Thank you ever so much. Well, Gavin PARR obviously is buoyant, but he's aware that he's got these few heats to go. You know, he's certainly in a good position. He's happy. Not so much with Garry May. He understands the situation, and he was saying that although he's not for sure, It looks like Ben may have broken a rib, but he certainly can't ride anymore tonight, obviously. So that was the state of play when we went into the pits. Obviously, it's been one of those days, Matty. We've alluded to it so far on the stream. We've had rain, we've had sunshine, we've had fog.
It's been a bit of a jack of all trades today, hasn't it?
Slightly, yeah. It's one of those days. But I would like to take this opportunity. I don't normally get a chance to be on the streams, but I just want to say to all the guys that have purchased the stream tonight, both Gladiator and Redcar fans, and also all the fans out there that have purchased in the past the Gladiators TV, a massive thank you for you guys for supporting this stream and your clubs, and do keep that support going. Obviously we want people trackside. Speedway is what it's all about. You've got to be here, you've got to smell it, you've got to feel it, you've got to see it. But if you can't be here, we're trying to be the second best. Yeah, happy to be second best on this one.
That's okay.
And are you enjoying it on Gladiators TV?
Loving it. It was something completely new, obviously, until you asked me to join the team, and I've loved every minute. I've got to do a bit of everything, a bit of commentating, a bit of pit interview. It's good. My teeth have stayed in, so I'm happy.
That's a bonus, and that's good. Right, we're back out on track and leave you to it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much. So as we go now to heat number 14, this is a very crucial heat for both teams now, more so for the Gladiators. But we can see just under 2 minutes remaining for all 4 riders to be present at the start. So as we look forward, it's we can see there's been a slight change. Ben Trigger will come in to replace Jake Mulford, which I'm not completely surprised about. You know, obviously Ben has more of experience of the Coliseum and he's had a better night on paper. So obviously the Bears having that lead, they're going to want to try every little thing they can to keep that lead now. And obviously Carl Newman had a very, very good last ride. Only a 3rd place, but it was a lot more of a productive ride. So as we look now at the scorecard, we can see coming off gate 1 in blue will be Joe Thompson. In white off gate number 2 will be Jason Edwards. In red off gate number 3 is Carl Newman. And off gate number 4 in yellow is local lad Ben Trigger. So there's a lot to play for, as we keep saying in this one. I can't emphasise that enough. It's massive for both teams. Obviously Redcar have had that slow start, a few home losses as well. So an away win would really pay dividends for them. The Gladiators have had a pretty solid start, apart from the ongoing issues with rider injuries and the flu and that kind of stuff. So they're desperate for points as well to keep the morale going, especially if Ben Barker is off for a little bit more than just a week. But we shall see. As the riders now come into line, we will see who gets to gate number 1 first, or gate number 1 who gets to bend number 1 first. So as we're on the green light, ready to go, riders are away. It's a good start there from Jason Edwards. Jason's had a cracking night so far, really, really hard on the pressure. Showed what a great asset he is to the Redcar Bears. You see there the Gladiators in 3rd and 2nd. They just need to make sure they don't start racing each other in this one. It's obviously they're all going to want to be pushing on for a win to try and or force Jason into a mistake, but they just want to be careful they're not racing each other or wheel chasing. They don't want to throw away any points now going into this last heat. But it's you know, a pretty even draw. That all riders aren't too far away from each other. Jason Edwards has pulled a little bit of a lead away now, but not too far. Should he make a mistake that the other riders can't capitalise on that. Ben Trigger in last at the moment, but still potting around right on the tail of Carl Newman. Carl seems to be having a much more comfortable ride in this one, so I'm not entirely sure if it was carb-related issues in his last ride, but that's a fantastic win there for the rider in white, Jason Edwards. Jason really has been put on a good display tonight. That's his 2nd win of the evening so far. That was a better ride also from Joe Thompson, who struggled mid-meeting. It was a bit unlike Joe. He's been pretty consistent so far, but that was a great win for the rider in white, Jason Edwards of the Redcar Bears. Of course, a former Plymouth Gladiator himself, which is a 3-3 to both teams, now bringing the scores to 44-40. So as we see there, it was a win for the rider in white, Jason Edwards. In 2nd in blue was Joe Thompson for the Gladiators. 3rd in red, Carl Newman, and coming up the rear was Ben Trigger in yellow. So 4 points apiece. The Gladiators need a 5-1 to draw this meeting. A draw is obviously, of course, better than a loss. It's going to be a slightly tricky one. I would imagine heat 15. I'm going to make a bold predicament here. I would say Troy Batchelor and Alfie BOWTELL for the Gladiators, but of course we will get confirmation of that. But judging on the way they've ridden together tonight, that would be my obvious choice. But I am not Garry May, and Garry May has a lot more trophies in his cabinet than I ever have, so we will see. But you can see there in the red car pits, Jason, I wouldn't be surprised if Jason makes an appearance. He's been very consistent so far tonight. Looks like they're making a bit of a back wheel change there, obviously getting a slightly fresher tyre if possible. Both riders actually got the back wheels out, Jason and Charles, so it'll be interesting to see what the decision is. But as we say, it's been a pretty crazy night, really. Not just racing wise, but also weather wise. We've had a little bit of every season in one here tonight. So I just look over to the centre green now. I can see Joe having a bit of a blast on the microphone. Seems to be a natural with the old mic in between his hands, does Joe. You can see there in the Gladiators pits, looks like Garry May is talking to Alfie BOWTELL and Troy Batchelor. Again, we will confirm that, of course, when the draw for Heat 15 is complete. But no, it's been a very good night for those two. Troy has been a credit as a guest. He's not just come in for himself for an extra payday. He's really looked out for the riders he's been in races with and shepherded them when they needed protecting from the Bears. So that's great to see. It kind of reminiscent of a couple years ago when Scott Nichols scheduled for us and shielded Zane Kelleher for an important 5-1. I can't remember who that meeting was against now. Possibly the Poor Pirates. But that showing a lot again tonight. You can see there Andrew Silver, of course, son of Len Silver, legend of Rye House and Hackney Speedway. Andrew, of course, himself a very established rider in his day, especially for the Arena Essex Hammers, obviously later become the Lakeside Hammers. I believe Andrew did actually make maybe 2007, 2008, made a one-off comeback for the Rye House Rockets in what was the Premier League, obviously now the Championship, and had a pretty steady 7.5 point average, which isn't bad for nearly 15, 16 years out of league action. But sadly, it was just for one season. See there, Charles Wright, looks like he's getting his helmet, so does Jason Edwards. Again, sort of predictable Heat 15 at the moment, the way it looks. You know, all four of these riders have had a cracking night. All of them now are unbeaten. They've all, you know, none of them are going through the card completely clean. Obviously Charles Wright coming second in that Heat 13 to Troy Batchelor. He'll be going for a win for sure. He's looked established all night. You know, obviously former British champion. He knows exactly what it's all about with regards to where to ride on the track and bike setups. As does Troy Batchelor, obviously former GP rider himself, multiple Australian champion, and various other titles over in different states in Australia. But yeah, it's a hard one to call this. This really could be anyone's. It's obviously most like Speedway. It's down to what happens in the first bend and off the gate. But it's four very capable riders now of all winning a Heat number 15. So it's anyone's to play for. It's as I repeat myself again, it's a crucial Heat for both teams. Obviously Redcar with the 4-point advantage at the moment. Say that slow start to the season, they're definitely going to push for an away win, and the Gladiators slightly depleted. Will obviously want to keep that momentum going and just show that they can be a strong force even when the odds are against them. See our mascot there, Maximus, having a little run. Fair play to that man, I tell you, he really does get a move on race nights. Absolute natural at it as well. It's fantastic to see. Gotta be. Oh, there you go. Look, he's having a little lie down. He's out of puff, bless him. Yeah, it'll be fine. Good old Maximus. He's a gladiator. He's used to this. But no, say as we move into Heat number 15, we're just still waiting confirmation of who it will be and what gates they will be off. Oh, Maximus is back up. I'm sure he'll go run around and do a little boogie somewhere in a minute. As we venture back into the pits, you can see Clark of the Corsair, Robert Doran calling riders to action. As the 2 minutes goes on, it looks like we have Troy Batchelor in blue, Alfie BOWTELL in red, Jason Edwards will be in white, and Charles Wright will be in yellow. So that was, as we said, a pretty predictable Heat 15. All four of these riders have had an outstanding night, all things considering. Just confirm the gate choices for you a second. So the Redcar Bears have opted for gates 1 and 3, which obviously have been the favoured gates this evening. No, it's going to be very exciting. There's still a nice bit of material actually across there. As we look across the official gate stats here, scorecard even, we have off gate 1 Off gate 1 in white is Jason Edwards. Off gate 2 in red is Alfie BOWTELL. Off gate 3 in yellow is Charles Wright, former British champion, of course. And off blue in gate 4 is the guest, Troy Batchelor. As we said, it's been an outstanding guest for the Gladiators tonight. Really has played a massive factor in this meeting, with 3 race wins to his name, a paid win, and only 1 point drop. So him and Charles Wright actually go into this meeting with only 1 point between them dropped. So it will be interesting to see who comes out victorious. Will it be one of the big hitters, the former GP rider or the former British champion, or will it be one of the young stars of the future, Jason Edwards for the Redcar Bears, or will it be fan favourite Alfie BOWTELL off gate number 2 in red? We shall soon see. As the riders are just doing their last bit of gardening on the skates there, you can see Alfie BOWTELL packing down a fresh bit of material there. The start rider has, of course, called them forward as we will prepare for the start of the race. You can hear the 3 riders at the tapes, bikes are revving, ready to go. Alfie BOWTELL just making some last minute adjustments there. Big Heat wants to make sure everything's ready. As the riders are called to the tapes, we're on the green light. The tapes have gone a little bit of movement there from blue, Troy Batchelor, but it looks like the referee is giving it. Charles Wright now comes up the inside. It's a 3-3 at the moment as it stands. It's going to be hard to pass Charles. He's been dominant all night with only that 1 point drop to Troy Batchelor in his last heat. Alfie BOWTELL there in third with Jason Edwards following closely in fourth. Charles Wright now started to establish a little bit of a lead. Looking very smooth, riding a very sensible line. Very smooth. Riding that mid to inside line, looking very fast on it. I would imagine he's made a few little setup changes, a bit of rubber on rubber burning and just getting that little bit of grip. You see he's getting his wheels in line very early. Really starting to pull away now from Troy Batchelor. Troy Batchelor there, you can see looking for Alfie BOWTELL just to make sure he's in contention, but it unfortunately for the Gladiators looks like it's going to be a red car win, which it is, with Charles Wright the victor in that one. Followed closely by Troy Batchelor in second, with Alfie BOWTELL in third, and bringing up the rear was Jason Edwards. For what it is, it's been a great night of Speedway considering the weather we've had. We've had sun, we've had rain, we've had mist, we've had the lot. The track is, of course, calmed down a lot, and it is produced to be a great racetrack come the end of the meeting, and it was a great effort by all lads involved. But congratulations to the Redcar Bears, who are tonight's victors. A well-deserved win. As we look there at the official end to the meeting, in first in yellow was Charles Wright, second in blue was Troy Batchelor, third in red was Alfie BOWTELL, and in white in fourth was Jason Edwards, bringing the grand score to 43 to the Gladiators and 47 to the Redcar Bears. I really got a feel for the Plymouth Gladiators, obviously with losing Ben Barker after his second race. That really did put a spanner in the works for Garry and his team. Obviously Ben being former track record holder here and the club captain, it's obviously noticeable that we missed him tonight. And of course Dan Thompson, who is battling COVID at home. But the Redcar Bears have had to come up against it as well. Obviously no Danny King. If Danny King had been here, it could have been a different story again. Danny is a bit of a track specialist around here. But as we run down the final scores of tonight, we can see Troy Batchelor there, the guest, getting 12 and 1 from 5 rides. Alfie BOWTELL, 13 plus 2. A great night for Alfie, a lot more like it. I was speaking to him a couple of weeks ago, and that's more what he wanted. Obviously no rider in number 3. Carl Newman scoring 8 plus 1. That was a productive night from Carl, especially towards the end of the meeting. Unfortunately, Ben Barker had to withdraw from the meeting due to injury. Joe Thompson, 6 plus 1. A bit of a up and down night for Joe, but started well and ended well. So that's what it's all about. Jacob Hook, a steady night to start with, tailed off a little bit towards the end, but the experience is still coming. As we move on now onto the Redcar Bears, a very impressive 17 points from the former British champion and Redcar captain Charles Wright. Connor Bailey had a steady night with 5 plus 1 from 4 rides. Dan Gilkes again, 5 plus 1 from 5 rides. A few good rides, a few rides where it looked like he maybe had to set up a little bit wrong, but he's only just come back into championship, so he'll have to bet himself back into that. Jason Edwards, a great night for the former Gladiator. 11 points from 6 rides. Obviously no Danny King at number 5. Number 6, Ben Trigger, 7 points from 6 rides. A great night for Ben. I believe that's his highest score this season in the championship, possibly in his whole championship career to date. We can see there, number 7, Jake Mulford, 2 points for 3 points, which brings the grand scores to 43-47 in favour of the Redcar Bears. So as we get a final word there from Mark Phillips on the centre green there, thanking the fans for bearing with the rain and the track tonight. As we can see, the fans are vacating. And as for us, that is it. Thank you for joining the stream, and we will see you again next time.